Welcome. How's it going? It is December 4th, 2025. We're almost through this awful year. But I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and with me I have Corbin Davenport.
Hello.
And this is the RambleCast. I forgot to say the name of it before I introduced us. I'm a good host.
That's good.
Oh,
I didn't know where I was.
yes. Well, all the podcasts that you're on. Celebrity
Yes,
podcaster
I have a
Corbin Davenport.
very busy schedule. I was on Joe Rogan yesterday, and we were talking about which vaccines are real.
You would be on Joe Rogan.
That's insulting.
Oh, I kind of want to believe you would go on Joe Rogan just so you could talk back to him.
So I could like.
The funny thing
Uh,
is,
I
he would just start agreeing with you. Like he
yeah,
is,
he seems very easily manipulated. So I think I
yeah.
could like couch it in a way. I'd be like, what's actually alpha is doing your full vaccine schedule.
Um, I mean, he's down with the lingo. You tell him what's really Sigma.
I could figure it out. I could break through to him. Probably not. He might be too far gone. But
Oh boy, the thing is, yeah, he is very suggestible, and in that same way that Clinton, or sorry, not Clinton, the same way Trump is. I mean, there's a little bit of Clinton and Trump, right? Um, so that's just news that's going to be so fun for the next few years. Um, but yeah, I think you could probably talk to Rogan and just be like, just introduce something in a really weird, complicated argument that he doesn't know how to refute, and all of a sudden he'll be like, I see your way. Yeah.
yeah.
Um.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the uh, first thing that happened, which I thought already happened, but I think it's just one of those things that gets announced or teased over and over and over again. So by the time it actually happens, I feel like it already happened. Like when the release date for a game keeps getting pushed back, and like I thought it already came out, but apparently it's still not coming for another 6 months. There was the Galaxy Z Trifold. So this is the infamous Samsung Galaxy phone that folds in 3 parts compared to the existing Galaxy Z Flip, which is the like flip phone shaped one that opens up vertically, and the Galaxy Z Fold, which is the one that opens like a book horizontally. So this one opens in 3 parts. So it's got 2 hinges. The screen bends in 2 places, just like on the thirds of the inside. So it's got a big screen on the outside, and then when you open it, they said it has a 10-inch screen on the inside. So pretty close screen space as a typical like iPad or tablet, like a large tablet, not like a Fire tablet or iPad Mini. And it's pretty much the same experience as Android or Samsung's Android tablets now, where it's going to have the like Samsung Dex UI with floating windows if you want to do that, or just put different apps on each panel. They talked a little bit about the hardware. They mentioned it has their most advanced hinges yet. The outside is advanced armor aluminum, a high strength alloy, and some other things here. Also, a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset when it comes out. I don't know if that's going to be the one. This is supposed to be released in like February, so I don't know if it's going to have the same chip as like the Galaxy S26, will have, or an older one. I don't think they specified. They just said it will have a Series 8. Um, Also, 5600 milliamp battery, split across 3 cells. Of course, the battery does not bend. That would be concerning. And supposedly 200 megapixel camera. So same as you get on the S25 Ultra, I think. I don't know if the Plus has that as well. I don't think so. And also the same as like the Folds.
Mhm.
So pretty good. You got your IP48 water resistance, so please don't, get this wet or near a sandy beach if you can help it. And there's no pricing yet. I'm sure it's going to be horrendous. Maybe like $3,000. I don't know. The Galaxy Z Fold is 2,000, and this is a more complex build. Probably lower yields than even that phone. So it's going to be a lot. And I was interested in the measurements. They talked about how thin it was, and you can see in that picture on their press release of them, they've got the side view, and it is very skinny. Each panel is 4.2 millimeters in depth. So that's thinner than the iPhone Air at 5.64 millimeters and the Galaxy S25 Edge at 5.8. However, of course, because it's folding in 3 parts, it's going to be quite chunk in your pocket.
Yeah.
Let me see, did they give that number? They didn't put that number in the press release I got. Folded. Okay, they do have it in here. So folded is 12.9 millimeters in depth. So for comparison, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is 8.75 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra is 8.2. So quite a bit bigger, but I guess like not too far off from like an S25 Ultra when you slap a case on it. So,
well, judging from that picture, what stands out to me is the camera module is so...
It is hilarious.
Yeah, it looks comically thick on one of those panels.
So,
and I think
so this will be a brick in your pocket with a like growth coming out of it at the top.
Exactly.
Carson said Corbin on the ISS. No, this is the Starship Enterprise, actually. Good.
And it's just now occurring to me that somehow, some way, you're probably creating a copyright infringement issue for this channel, but let's hope not.
I'll turn down the music.
What stands out to me about this camera bump is I'm assuming that they're factoring that in on the phone's thickness. And if so, it might actually not really be that thick of a phone. It's just going to have this absurd camera bump, which in that one spot it will be overly thick, but the whole rest of the phone might be fine.
Yeah. So it seems neat. I'm sure if this is finally going to production, it's probably going to be about the same story as the Galaxy Fold, where like, yeah, it's impressive, but it still has inherent long-term durability issues that I don't have to deal with on my normal brick phone. So this is still not a product category I think I would buy into ever. At least not until we get another few significant improvements in the like screen glass stuff. But if I ever got one for free, I would use it and share my opinions, but
exactly,
that's not terribly likely.
Yeah, and that's kind of roughly where I'd stand with it too, is it's cool. I I think this is a genuinely cool thing. It's just I also don't feel any compulsion to get it. Um and yeah, I feel like the only time I would want to take a risk on something like this is if I have the money to throw at it. Like literally could not care what happens to my as far as price, I'm just going to estimate. I bet this is probably going to be more like 2500. Basically 500 per screen effectively.
Yeah, I think anywhere like 2,500 to 3,000 is fine. Somewhere in there.
I don't see it going over 2,500, but I also don't see it being less than 2,500, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm, obviously not literally like it has to be 2,500, but I kind of see it more as like 24 to 26. I think it's going to be in that very narrow window.
Yeah, it's going to be more than the Fold at 2,000, not only because of the new technology, but because it is a super premium product that there's going to be less demand for, and there's going to be sort of a pressure on them that existed for the original Galaxy Fold and more recently the Galaxy XR, where it's like we need to get a running start on return on investment for this form factor. So I think it's going to be expensive for all those reasons. And also in the US, I'm sure this will get hit with the tariff stick, and they're not going to want to I think they're less tempted to subsidize this in any way than they would be with maybe other product lines.
Yeah, so I didn't consider the tariffs. Yep, $3,000. I'll join you now.
Okay.
Before I would have thought they'd go for something
odds on this on those sketchy gambling prediction market apps, and we'll see who has enough money for the phone at the end of it.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please don't use those apps.
No, they are the ruination of everything. That's not
Kirby
fair.
Said, don't tell Apple about. Kirby said, "Don't tell Apple about $3,000 phones." Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how high up you can get now.
If I remember,
if you like fully max out everything, storage.
If I remember, you were able to hit 2,800. With a Pro Max, with like the highest possible memory setting or something.
Yeah, I'm going to their website. I'm picking the Pro Max, which starts at $1,200. I'm going to pick the 2 terabyte storage. I have no trade-in. It is 2,000, so that's as high as you can go. Which 2 terabytes? It's quite a lot.
Yeah,
I can fit. Honestly, see, if I had unlimited money, I would do that just so I can have blacks on everything. I'm like, my music library is going to be the least compressed thing you've ever seen. I need. Of course, for no reason, because I'm listening to music through like AirPods most of the time, but it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, somehow I'm sure there was a way to get this price higher. I just don't remember what it was. I suppose if you add Apple Care to the price, you can tack
Apple
on
Care.
But
you throw in like one single case that Apple makes. That's another 500 right there. So yeah, that's the Galaxy Z Trifold. Not a lot else to say right now because I don't think they've actually shown it to any humans yet, except I did see it was there was like a prototype at some trade show like 2 months ago, and some people got close to it, but it will not be a real product until December 12th in Korea, and then it's coming to China, Taiwan, Singapore, UAE, and the US. I believe the US launch, they said Q1. I don't know if they gave a date somewhere.
I imagine they'll give a date probably around the time that they have pre-orders open.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in the email they sent to me when I was writing this, they said first quarter 2026. So sometime early next year in the US. Uh, so speaking of things getting more expensive, I guess, or I don't, I don't know. Kind of crazy news is that Micron is ending all sales of Crucial products. So Crucial, the brand you've seen on solid state drives and RAM sticks and flash drives and other things of that nature. I've definitely bought some Crucial memory over the years. I'm sure I probably have a flash drive from them somewhere. Very ubiquitous over the last like 2 decades. But they are going away. So Micron announced yesterday, actually, that it is ending its Crucial consumer focused business, so it can shift all of that production capacity to enterprise customers for data centers, pretty explicitly for like building out AI infrastructure. So this has been an ongoing thing where the massive amounts of money flowing into the generative AI business are being spent on building up capacity for those servers that train all the AI models and sometimes run them if it's not one of the ones that runs on device. And those need a lot of parts. Those need GPUs, those need storage, those need RAM. And there has been a shocking increase in RAM prices over the last like 2 months, just because the demand is outstripping the supply. We all saw this during COVID and during that like crypto GPU craze. Prior to that, it's just perpetually never a good time to buy PC hardware. Unfortunately, something's always happening. There's always some kind of scam happening, or a global pandemic.
I was gonna
Um,
say, are do we have Corbin calling COVID a scam?
no, no, I haven't been on Joe Rogan yet. So there's so basically what Micron is doing is they're like, all right, we could scale up production of all of our products, which is slow and probably really difficult to do right now because the U.S. is kind of like demolishing global trade. So we're just gonna not sell to normal people anymore. So that's what they've chosen to do. So they said they will continue product shipments until the end of fiscal quarter two, which is February of next year. And then after that, you just won't see Crucial stuff at stores anymore. Um, and they claim they'll still honor warranties and all that stuff. Like, it's not, the business is not exploding. It's just they've decided not to do anything new there for the future. And it's not good. Not good to hear. If for no other reason, then there's not a lot of companies making flash memory and RAM. It's like Micron and Samsung and SanDisk, and I don't know who else. Uh, not a diverse industry, and historically, when there's less competition, that's when prices they can price gouge a little bit more. And also, I do want to point out the sort of human cost to this. When I was writing my article about this, I saw Micron had, I think, around like 50,000 employees. And they do mention in their press release that they're going to try to move those people to other positions that are open. But I think we all know that most of those people are still getting laid off. And they're getting laid off in an industry that has already had layoff after layoff after layoff, and it's going to really suck for all those people.
It's true, but I will grant this much: it is, at least for most of those people, they likely have a skill set that they can probably take to a few hundred other places. They're less
There's a
constrained
lot
than a
of
few others.
yeah. I'm sure there's like manufacturing people and there's a lot of like marketing people and sales and
Well, even a
press
lot of
relations.
like the chip design and like the electronic manufacturing aspect of it. A lot of those people are going to be pretty able to hop to other positions. Not saying that they'll be as good or super easy to get to, but they'll have at least some options. It won't be complete dead end. Kind of like some other industries, game development, where, let's be honest, if you just lost your job in game development, you should probably just look for a career change right now.
Yeah, it's bleak. Kirby said Crucial was my go-to price for price and performance to gigabyte from a reputable brand, price per gigabyte. Yeah, I don't remember what brand I ever bought for like memory. I guess I can, if I go check my Amazon history, it's probably lurking in there. Of course, now I'm mostly on Macs, which have whatever Apple glued in there. So, but it's either way not great, especially considering SanDisk has had some questionable product quality, especially on like their external SSDs. There was sort of repeated problems with those, so not great.
Yeah, I very specifically SanDisk, I feel always a little nervous about, depending on the product and what it's used for. Some products, like if you're talking about like a micro SD card, it's not the brand I would necessarily choose first, but I'm not too worried about it. If you're talking more like SSDs, starting to get a little nervous because, their ability to make SSDs that can meet certain performance demands is not great. Or at least is not as good as it should be.
Yeah, I'm looking, and apparently I've bought Corsair Vengeance RAM at one point, and then Patriot Signature line. I'm guessing Corsair is not manufacturing its own memory. It's like
no,
it's
they're
like
not. They source it from other
label.
They source it from several other companies. And yeah, I bought a Corsair SSD, which actually I have in a little MagSafe in case or enclosure right now. But yeah, I wouldn't consider necessarily Corsair to be the most reputable just because they do source from multiple places. But if you're ordering one of their like higher end ones, you typically get a pretty good chip. But yeah, I don't know that I consider this necessarily like, oh no, there goes the one good brand. This is more the, we're just seeing somebody else leaving a market because it just isn't as profitable. And that does suck. Like, there's just no way around it. That kind of sucks because obviously competition, like you said, it's always just so much better to have it. The one question I would have, and obviously, this isn't for them to answer, but a small part of me wonders if what they're going to end up doing is obviously like right now they're saying, hey, we're going to make products for other companies that they're going to put in data centers. Some part of me wonders if what this is going to turn into is, okay, we built the SSDs for a bunch of data centers, and now data center production goes down for a couple of years. We're looking for new customers, and when they start looking for new customers, the very next thing is somebody pops up and is like, hey, we want to make SSDs for consumers, but we don't want to make them. We'll buy them off of you, right? Just give us a good discount. We'll buy them off of you, and we'll resell your stuff to regular consumers. At which point I see Crucial, or, well, Micron, basically going, yeah, okay, sure. We did that business for a while. We don't want to get it back into it, but we'll happily just sell to somebody who will.
Yeah. And also said, once this gets better, they're going to resurrect Crucial. I do not share that opinion. I think if they're like, this is a lot of work to wind down, and it would be a lot of work to rebuild if they want to re-enter the consumer market again. So if they thought this was going to be like a temporary thing, like a year or two, and then things get back to normal, I think they'd probably just not say anything, and there would just be like a lot less stock available of like all the things Crucial sells for a while, and then go back to normal. But
yeah, actually,
I think that's the terrifying thing here, is that a company as large as Micron is like, there's so much money in this that we're gonna dump everything else. And maybe they're not thinking long term. Maybe they're just like trying to get as much as they can while the going's good. But this is not something I think you do as a company if you think it's a short term thing.
To me, it kind of reminds me of that point in history where IBM turned around and said, you know what, the consumer market sucks. We're just not going to do it anymore. We're just going to make products for enterprise. And then down the road, HP said that. And then Microsoft effectively said it in their own way. And obviously, Microsoft didn't exactly leave consumer products totally, but certain aspects of the company shifted pretty clearly to enterprise and left behind consumer. And like various other companies have done this. It's not an unusual thing to do.
Yeah. Microsoft still sells and like supports products for the consumer, but they make it as clear as possible that they hate you.
Yes.
Windows has an active disdain for every person who uses it. That is inescapable. Unless you do like 500 registry edits.
I believe that's actually called the ADL, the Active Disdain License.
Yeah.
And yes, I know ADL stands for something else. Anyway.
Also another comment saying, also like the AI bubble might pop, but that technological genie is out of the bottle. Even a complete collapse of OpenAI has decent odds of only slowing the data center growth, not stopping it. Yeah, again, I'm not even really sure if there's going to be like a definable pop. Like, I think everyone's kind of expecting there to be. It could very easily just be a slow decline as everyone gets excited about something else. And like, especially OpenAI, like I think they're fine for like decades. Unfortunately, I'm sure at some point they'll be smaller and much less valuable than they are today. But unfortunately, I think Sam Altman is probably set for life.
Oh, yeah, that's a given. But
yeah.
Here's the thing. What we're talking about now, like setting aside, like the AI bubble popping, or even like specific companies, the need to build data centers isn't going to go away. The need to upgrade data centers isn't going to go away. The business of providing hardware to data centers isn't going to go away, especially when that hardware is the kind of thing that has a lifespan on it, like Flash does. Obviously, well, solid state storage, I should say. Because even though obviously it does last longer than spinning discs, it doesn't last that much longer. Like it all burns out eventually. So it, that's just going to keep being a good business to be in, even if at some point some technology comes along that improves every other part of the data center. Then it's still going to be a good business to be in, doing what they do. The only time it's not going to be a good business to be in is if some new storage technology comes along, and that storage technology is cheaper, at least equally fast, at least equally good, and at least about the same lifespan. So that's pretty much the only time where you don't want to be making storage products the way that Micron is. And then if Micron is the company that gets into doing that, then of course still a good business to be in. So I don't think that they're wrong in the notion that that this is worth doing. Like, they're going to make money making this switch. And even if they weren't going to make money, I'm going to make the unfortunate argument it's going to cost them less. Because, just a fun fact, customer service sucks when you have hundreds of thousands of customers, or even tens of thousands of customers. Customer service sucks. It is the worst thing, and it is very expensive to do. And the more customers that you have, the more it sucks. But if you have 10 customers, okay, if you lose one, that's really stupidly expensive. But if you have 10 customers, you know how easy it is to support them? Really, really easy. And that's why a lot of these companies love to go to the business contracts. Everyone says, oh, it's because they can bilk other companies for way more money. And sometimes that's true. I mean, we know that that's how Oracle operates. And sometimes the logic is that businesses are less picky. HP has definitely made a lot of money on the fact that they sell to businesses, like they target businesses, and those businesses do not care about the quality of the things that they're getting. They just care that they're getting them from a company that offers a good service contract. I know that, having reviewed a couple of HP products. Look, guys, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, wow, those products were not designed well. Not going to call out which ones. You can look at my review history on AP and figure that out. So, you know, that's all true, but at the end of the day, when you provide a product to a company, your customer is the company, not the individual people using it. It's the company. And when it comes down to it, the service contract is owed to the company, and it's only when the company calls in service that you ever really have to do anything. And there are so many roads where that just doesn't happen quickly, efficiently, effectively, or at all. So yeah, providing service to companies is oftentimes so much cheaper. That is a bigger cost-cutting measure than almost anything else you can do. Is just less service.
Yeah, it's it's alarming. Just it's worrying that there's just perpetually more and more and more focus on this one thing, and whether or not it like pops or just slowly degrades over time. Either way, we're not in for a fun time. With the immediate effect of building or upgrading a PC is just gonna suck for a while again. Probably. I mean, it already 500 other factors making that worse, but not fun.
One thing I do wonder, though, is this going to cause a rush on buying Crucial RAM because I feel like if anything was going to, this would, because a whole lot of people are going to be like, oh, hey, if they're going to commit to honoring the warranties and it's still like one of the best RAM options there is, let's just go get some now. And all of a sudden the price is skyrocketing. Crucial's like, oh damn, maybe we should just do another batch and sell it at high prices.
I mean, some of these are going up in price, but that's also just every like already the thing happening of RAM getting more expensive. So I'm not sure if it's Crucial price gouging because it's the going out of business, or the previous price gouging that was happening 2 weeks prior.
Yeah,
but I did click one of their 1 terabyte NVMe SSDs. It is $107. Last month it was $80. If I click another one, let's see here. We've got a 8 terabyte portable SSD. Wow, that's a lot of storage. Oh my god. This fucking price crap. I'm gonna here. How do I copy this link? Hold on.
How do I copy this link, Corbin?
Well, it's the Keepa widget does not have a link to the page on Keepa. I have to put in the URL. Okay.
I have Keepa
there we
installed.
go. I'm gonna put this on the YouTube chat. That is a wild price graph. So this 8 terabyte SSD was $385, and then rapid increase to $734.
Damn,
that's
son.
normal.
That's
to be fair. That is what I would assume 8 terabytes of an SSD would cost, but that's because I'm still thinking like 10 years ago. I'm like, dang, you guys can get more than a terabyte? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is a lot of money. That is
so speaking of spending more money, yay! Quick other thing happening is Raspberry Pis are more expensive now. So again, one of the many knock-on effects of all flash memory being expensive is that if you're making a product with flash memory, guess what? You have to pass on those price increases or eat it. And Raspberry Pi is already at pretty low margins, all things considered, so not really a surprise they got to bump it up. So they put a full price table on their website, but like just for example, the 4 gig, the Raspberry Pi 4 with 4 gigs of RAM is going from $55 to $60. The Raspberry Pi 5 with 4 gigs of RAM is going from $60 to $70. And the highest end Raspberry Pi 5 with 16 gigs of RAM is going from $120 to $145. So most of them $5 to $10. Not a big deal, but annoying. The ones that have more RAM are going up more, as you might expect. And I don't know if it was an immediate consequence of this or they already had it in the works or something, but at the same time, they are releasing a 1 gigabyte RAM version of the Raspberry Pi 5. It initially started at 2 gigs. But now there's a 1 gig that costs $45, so $5 less than the 2 gigabyte. For $5, I would pick the 2 gigabyte. Unless it's like a, some kind of embedded thing where for sure you are not going to be hurting for RAM. Because with the kind of desktop or server-ish workloads a lot of people want to run on Raspberry Pis, the closer you can get to a normal desktop computer's worth of RAM, the better. Especially if you're, I know these can fill a lot of different use cases. If you're just emulating, you got your game emulation set up, right, it's probably fine. But if you want to get one of these to run Home Assistant and Docker stuff, I would get a little bit more RAM. Maybe not 16 gigs. That's That's quite a bit. Docker is shockingly optimized most of the time. So
Yeah, and I was even just about to say, like, it is funny because almost every single thing I see about people running a Raspberry Pi these days, it just starts with, okay, so you're going to install Docker and then dot dot dot.
yeah,
Like every single thing about Raspberry Pi is just here, get Docker, and then here's the container, which is
yeah, and
interesting,
like
but
yeah, and Docker stuff again. Like you'd think, like a bunch of little tiny Linux environments all running together would add up to a lot of RAM usage, but no, I've got some Docker containers on my NAS that are like using like 10 megabytes of RAM. I don't know what my torrent one is at, but it's pretty low. Um, you know, much less resource intensive than you might think, coming at the perspective of, oh, it's a bunch of little virtual machines.
right.
And I mean, I think not quite the same thing, but my image share web app is a Docker container. It's got like Node and web server in it. And I think I'm running on a 1 gigabyte RAM VPS, and it's fine. Granted, not a ton of users, but it's still pretty resource light. Someone said I run Discord bots on one Linux containers rule. Well, they're not really virtual machines. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff stripped out. It's not a full environment with drivers and everything. But yeah, so if you want to get a Pi board, they are slightly more expensive now. Sorry. Which, if I have to write another Raspberry Pi article for work, I'm gonna get a new Raspberry Pi. So I guess I should have bought one already, because I have here. Is it over? Yes, it's over here. Hold on.
By the way, just for context, I just looked in Portainer, and my my qubit torrent is currently taking 38.5 megabytes of RAM. Honestly, I kind of wonder how. That seems too low. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've still not upgraded the RAM on my NAS. It's still, I think, a gig, because like I don't need to. It's not using that much. Although now I probably should have done that like 6 months ago. But oh well. But yeah, I pitched a couple Raspberry Pi articles for work, because we're at How to Geek. They're doing a lot of Raspberry Pi single board computer stuff, and I was like, it's fine. I already have a Pi's here somewhere, and I rummaged through my drawers, and I find a Raspberry Pi. I think two or three is the newest one I have, and then I have this guy, which is a Raspberry Pi 0W, the original one. And that's what I was running a lot of stuff on, because it has Wi-Fi built in, and it's like kind of modern. And of course, like after I set it up, I realized it is not only the slowest thing in the universe, but it is also 32-bit. And the 32-bit situation on Linux is dire at this point. Pretty much everyone is moving on. And what's actually interesting is that the default Raspberry Pi OS is based on Debian. Debian dropped support for 32-bit, I think, on all architectures in the last update. But Raspberry Pi OS is still available for that. So they're doing some amount of work to keep all those packages available, which is interesting. But basically, like, all the like base software is there, but it is very slow, and like everything third party I wanted to install was like not really an option. Like I was gonna install VS Code as like a server so I could remote connect to it for a programming thing, and VS Code does not support 32-bit Linux. or 32-bit on ARM. I think it might for x86 still. But anyway, so if I ever write more Pi articles, I'm gonna get an actual modern Pi that isn't super slow. Like I don't remember the last time I waited at a apt upgrade command. And it was like, normally when I'm running like homebrew on my Mac and it's like installing commands and I actually can't like read what it's installing, it switches so fast. And then here it's like installing Firefox, installing Chrome. So oh yeah, they said Kotlin Semi recently removed support for all 32-bit targets too. Yeah, a lot of languages and environments are dropping that if they haven't already. I mean, a lot of newer ones, they just are only 64-bit. So not really surprising. And also like 32-bit ARM Linux was always weird because I think it's actually 2 or 3 different architectures because it's like ARM v7 versus ARM 9. But yeah,
That sounds about right.
Still annoying. So yeah, if you want to buy Raspberry Pi, it will be slightly more money.
Yay! By the way,
yeah.
to respond to what David said earlier, RambleCast more like depressing cast. Sir, how have you not been paying attention to this show? We don't do very much positive news. But we make fun of it when we do all the depressing stuff. So,
well, the Trifold was it's neat. I wouldn't say that's depressing. Just
it's depressing because of the price.
It's depressing because I think like 7 people will be able to afford it by the time this comes out.
Yeah, that's
okay, so well, this is not depressing. It's just kind of, I don't know how like interesting this is to other people, but I thought it was kind of neat. There is a new version of Collabora Office. I don't know how you pronounce their name, but this is a company that makes, basically their main product is like a web app version of LibreOffice. So you can get like Nextcloud set up on your NAS or your server or whatever, or if you're a business, like I think they mostly exist to cater towards, if you're a business and you want like on-premises Google Drive with Google Docs and stuff, you get your Nextcloud, you get your Collabora Office, and you're rocking and rolling. It's great. And it's a bunch of web apps that are based on LibreOffice. Like they use a lot of like the rendering stuff and like file processing stuff is LibreOffice, but it looks completely different. Like they have a totally different web skin on it. And basically what they've done now is they've released a desktop application of that. So you can now use their sort of like extreme offshoot of LibreOffice as just a normal app on your computer to edit documents. So they have a word processor, like Word. They have a spreadsheet app like Excel, and they have a presentation editor like PowerPoint. And I think this is mainly interesting because if you've ever used LibreOffice, it is a little bit intimidating and confusing with the UI, because I think now by default they do use kind of a ribbon toolbar interface, but there's still a lot of menus, and some of the apps you can switch. I know they let you switch between like a like Office 2003 and older sort of like toolbar design if you want to go old school. I like that option back in the day when I had to use like Office 2003 for school stuff, and then I switched to LibreOffice and it had all the same menus in the same place, and I was like, great, I don't have to learn anything. And then more recently they did add like newer Microsoft Office ribbon toolbars, but like all the same menus are still there, so it's kind of both. So this one is much less intimidating. That was basically their pitch for it. It's like, yeah, all this work we did to make a not confusing clone of Office apps for the web browser. It's now just an app. So Might be something interesting to try if you're trying to move off of Microsoft Office or something else, and you kind of just want something basic. Maybe this is the thing that you set up for someone if they're like switching off from Windows and you're like setting them up with like Linux and something else. This might be less intimidating for them than LibreOffice, a little bit more intuitive. When you look at the screenshots, it does look pretty much exactly like it looks like the Office web apps, but also just normal like Office for Windows. It's got the toolbars, even the color matches. They're using the same colors as Microsoft, which is kind of interesting. I only played with it for about 30 minutes. They gave me a pre-release build I was using while writing this article, and it's definitely like a web app. It does not feel native like whatsoever. Like even like the right-click menu is all custom. So there's probably more polish that's needed on this before I would like maybe recommend it over LibreOffice for all the faults that LibreOffice has. But definitely like promising start, something to keep an eye on for a free Office alternative. And I do hope eventually they figure out some kind of partnership that makes the web apps accessible. I think that still requires like you setting up on Nextcloud or using someone else's Nextcloud and editing in there. It would be kind of cool if they figured out a partnership with any of the cloud providers to get this integrated. But neat little app that's now available on Mac, Windows, and Linux. If you want to use it.
I have nothing to say about this.
Yeah.
Literally.
I just think it's neat. Also, pretty good dark mode. Something
yeah, I did
LibreOffice
spot the dark mode.
Iffy on. Normal Microsoft Office is pretty good dark mode now, but not so much LibreOffice.
Yeah, well, it'll get there someday,
Yeah.
maybe in a future version.
Yeah. And I guess last thing on the list besides your thing is Plex stuff. So this is confusing. I'm sorry. But basically, I think it was a year ago. No, it was earlier this year. Plex announced that they were changing how remote streaming works. So moving forward, the plan was where if you have a Plex server in your home and you are streaming to somewhere else in your home, you're fine. You don't need to pay anything. You don't need to do anything. If you are streaming, if you're doing anything else, the equation was changing. So they announced these changes earlier this year. It affects like all of the changes baked into their new Plex app. So basically, as they roll out the new Plex app, it will start happening. They said eventually they'll I guess activate it for everything next year. So if you have like third-party apps or something old, it might break. But basically, what's required now is if you are remote streaming, you might need to pay Plex money. So basically, if you have a Plex pass, you're fine. You can ignore all this. If you are streaming from someone else's server and they have Plex pass, you don't need to do anything. If you are streaming in any other situation, like if you're using a friend's server and they don't have Plex Pass and you're in a different house, you got to pay for remote streaming. If you have a server at home and you go on vacation and you want to watch something from that server and you don't have Plex Pass, you need to pay money.
Okay, that's the one I think is dumb, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that's true. Again, this is confusing. And when I wrote about this initially, I got one of the details wrong. And I think I'm correct now. But So basically, the new charge here is that you can get a remote watch pass, which is $2 a month or $20 a year, or you can just get Plex Pass, which is more expensive, and then not worry about this. And then you also get everything in Plex Pass. And when they announced this, it was just about like they were pretty open about like, yeah, we just need more money. So not a surprise, it's not going over well. I will say again, my main problem with all of these changes is they're just doing them in the most botched way possible.
Yeah.
Like I think I absolutely believe there is a world where they could have rolled out these changes and changes to their app, and they would have still had some people complain, because some amount of people will always complain when you change anything. That's just how the world works. But it would been a lot more defensible than what they've done now, where they're within like the same like 1 year period, they rolled out a really bad update to most of their platforms, and then spent months fixing it to the point where the new apps are like almost as good as the old one was when it got replaced. And then also now there is a sort of lockdown on pricing, and also Plex Pass going up in price. So I'm not really gonna defend any of that. I think they kind of,
did this to themselves.
they could have gone about this better. I really do not understand the desire. I kind of get it with large companies where they're just sort of dysfunctional by nature, but like in Plex's position, where I think they're more exposed to their customer base, just the fact of them rolling out the new app on mobile and then on Roku, that was like 80% feature complete. That was not good. Just another. I understand like software development is really difficult, and there is going to be bugs that only show up when you make everyone use the new app. But I really feel like there was a better time that needed a couple more months, I think. And I don't understand why like every tech company does this now. Every time a company does like a rewritten app or something, it is like every single time there's stuff lost in the process that maybe comes back later, and a bunch of new bugs. So so basically, like realistically, I don't think this will affect a ton of people, except the remote streaming of your own server, which I believe does need the remote pass. I'm just scanning this to double check. Yeah, I think that's right. And the change here, why we're talking about it, is that I believe this was already the case for mobile platforms, because they got the new app months ago. But it just went into effect for Roku about 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. It says starting next week, and this was published 15 days ago. So I believe last week. So yeah, something to be aware of.
So to Hoopy's point, Plex sucks. Why do people still use it? I will say I think it depends a lot on circumstances. If you're let's say you don't watch anything remotely and you just watch stuff in your own home, Plex is still fine. Like there are some iffy spots here and there, but for the most part, Plex is fine. And it's more hassle to change off of Plex than it is to just keep using it. And Plex kind of has this market position. What? Go ahead before I get lost in the next point. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I know people give Plex a lot of shit, and every time you say something positive about Plex, there's like a wave of people telling you to install Jellyfin. Jellyfin sucks. I'm sorry. Like like I it's it's the same situation between like proprietary software and open source software that has always existed, where the open source is impressive, but there's like a couple things where it falls short. And for me, that's like uh, most of the things I use Plex for. Especially like remote access. Like with Plex, you don't even really have to ever think about that, except now when you pay the money. But once you get through that, or if you're just me and you have a Plex pass from ages ago, it's not really a factor. But yeah, it still has purpose. Especially this point is now less relevant because of the botched rollouts. But having like a functioning app on like every conceivable device,
yes,
is still huge. Like you can get Plex on like a PS4, you can get it on any Android TV box you have, you can get it on grandma's TV that's like a 10-year-old Roku thing. It's all gonna work.
yeah, and I think that is such an overwhelmingly big factor. And the other factor, and what I was about to start saying, is Plex has also gained what I would kind of consider sort of the mindshare or ecosystem advantage. Like if you ask people, what do you use? Even if people are annoyed with it, a lot of people just say Plex. And then the people who hear from them are largely going to go, okay, well, I'll just do what he's doing. And then there's obviously just hundreds of thousands of tutorials or forum posts or whatever around the internet that it's all just people saying, oh yeah, we love Plex, we use Plex, blah blah blah. And sure, some of that's outdated, most of it's outdated now. And not even to say that those people necessarily stop liking Plex, it's just at this stage, whatever they wrote 5-7 years ago, that stuff is outdated. And we're just at that point where, yeah, the open source alternatives to Plex have obviously gotten better, but to Corbin's obvious point, yeah, they're still not as good. And sure,
Yeah.
in some ways they might do a few things better than Plex, but the whole experience, if you're using everything Plex has to offer, that is going to show up as a better experience than what those open source things have to offer. That being said, if you're using the open source things and you have a much narrower use case, maybe they do just as well or even better. But
Yeah, and like
at that point, we're still talking narrow use case as opposed to, again, the fairly wide selection of things that Plex does.
Yeah, like the main thing my Plex server is doing right now, like mine, is just being a OTA TV box. So I got a like decade-old HD home run from eBay, hooked it up to there. Because I have Plex Pass, it downloaded all the TV Guide stuff, and I could just stream that wherever I want or record it. I don't use it that often, but it's nice to have that there. The last time I tried it, live TV is supposed to work on Jellyfin. I could not get it to work. I think there's something wrong with my Docker setup. I'm not sure, but you still have to get the TV Guide data from somewhere, and that usually I think costs money.
Yeah, it does.
Through the various API providers. So again, with Plex, it's just there. So that would be an intensive process to move off of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or I could just watch, as long as it's live TV, I can just watch it from the HD home run box. The Plex is mostly there for recording, and I don't need to install another app. necessarily. I just open the Plex app.
Yeah, makes sense. Um,
But yeah, I just get a little bit annoyed when people immediately. And it's the same thing with like Photoshop or like any insert any paid product here. Everyone's like, why don't you just use this thing? Are you stupid? It's like, well, no, I this just works better, and works better for me
I
at
mean,
least.
I don't say that I get annoyed if somebody says, "Oh, stop using Plex. You should try this thing or that thing," um, because I even kind of agree with them. It's just I don't want to take the time to mess with it because Plex is still working fine for me, and that is, I think, the overwhelming issue here. Plex is still working fine for me, and the very rare instances that it doesn't work fine for me, it's still less hassle to put up with whatever isn't quite working than to go to the trouble of changing, because changing is going to take a lot, like straight up changing off of Plex to just about anything else is that is not a 5-minute move. So yeah, I don't really feel like dedicating what I assume is going to be a few hours to making that switch, when reality is the amount of trouble that Plex causes me per, I'm not even going to say per month, because I go many months at a time between any issue that I ever have with Plex. And sounds like a skill issue. I mean, can you say that switching to Jellyfin would take under an hour to have everything, literally everything, working perfectly? Because my understanding, at least from what I've heard from a few people who switched to Jellyfin, is there are a few things that work great, and then you run into a wall with like identifying some obscure show or movie, and then it becomes okay, now you have to go digging through settings and try to find the right thing to balance it and get every identification correct, or you have to go through and fix a lot of your metadata by hand, or this or that. And yeah, at that point is like, okay, I mean, I get it. I even had to do that with Plex at various points, but I don't want to do it again, at least not right now, when again there are so many other things that I have to spend time on. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
again,
will do it eventually.
yeah,
I'm just not in a rush to do it now.
yeah. It's not my intention to like shit on Jellyfin or anything. I just get a little bit frustrated. Again, every time this comes up with talking about tech products, is inevitably there's always the person yelling, like it. I notice this the most when I complain about like Windows or Mac OS, and there's someone who's like, "Why don't you switch to Linux?" It's like, that is the least helpful thing you could have said. It's like, I'm aware
Oh,
that
come on,
exists.
that's not true. They could have suggested you move to using an iPad as your main computer.
Yeah. What is a computer? And I will say also, the one like argument that like annoys me the most as a person who's made software is with Plex. I see a lot this line of like, whenever there's something about Plex Pass, or in this case, paying for Remote Pass or whatever, it's like, why am I getting charged to access my own files? It's like, no, you're not. That's not what's happening. If you want to go back to just having a SMB share and you browse that and you open movies from there, you can still do that. That's that. Honest to God, that is what I do most of the time when I'm, obtaining a movie. Is it just goes in the torrent client, and then it's on a file on my network, and I just open it from there. You can still do that. That's allowed. You can still have a flash drive of movies and music you've ripped, and just plug that into whatever you're using. That's fine. You're paying for the app around it. You're paying for Plex to have an app on the PS4 and Roku and your iPad.
Yes, you are. And here's the thing. I don't begrudge Plex the right to make money. I've even said in the past I want to give Plex money. This isn't as true now, but I've wanted to give Plex money in the past. I just couldn't give them as much as they were asking for, without it feeling like I was just paying rent for something that I didn't really care about. Um, I know that that's a weird way to phrase it and probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, it was that whole thing of you could pay for lifetime, but that's expensive. Or you could give us monthly or yearly, and it's like, yeah, but I don't want to rent it. Like, I just want to give you money once. And maybe I'll give you money once again someday in the future, but I don't want to like write a commitment to do it all the time. Anyway, so yeah, I kept running into this whole thing where I don't like that equation. And the amounts they were asking for were just a little too high for my taste. So yeah, I've at this point never give them money, and I also kind of feel like that was the right choice now because they have turned into that company that's trying to bilk money in too many different ways, and a lot of it's turned into the feels bad man sort of situation.
Yeah. Again, there was a right way to go about the app migration and other recent changes, and they did not take it. Also, they said in the chat, looking at the Plex site now, it's amazing how incredibly buried the stream your own media feature is nowadays. Yeah, this is the tough thing where I don't know if it's necessarily I don't think it's like a we're hiding this because it's not even remotely a priority for us. I think it's a hiding this because the growth potential is in the free streaming stuff I don't personally care about, and also it's the we're not going to advertise as heavily that we are for pirated media. I
Yeah.
think it's mostly those two things. It's a like, oh, you want Plex to be a fully supported product for the foreseeable future. Okay, we need to get a little bit more legit than we are right now. So the Hollywood legal hammer does not fall upon us next year.
Well, I think if we look back over history and the various things that were said about Plex, I think it's not hard to see sort of the trajectory because they obviously added like the free networks, well, the free with ad networks.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get there, they had to sort of start downplaying more and more the piracy angle. And I think it's because all those free with ads networks, I think that they basically said, look, we really don't want to work with someone who's basically a piracy company, uh, and then also tried to make a little bit of money on our backs down the road. And so I think Plex, recognizing that their only way to make money was to offer the free with ads stuff, I think they just had to put on the, okay, we're just going to kind of downplay piracy, and every single time they get a little bit of pushback and it's like, okay, let's stomp on piracy a little bit more. Let's just keep pushing it further and further out of the equation, which, I mean, it all still works. And it's all still there. It's not any harder than it was before. Nothing has changed in that regard. The worst thing that's there is they put the free stuff or free with ads stuff a little more prominently, but you can turn all of that stuff off. So it's not really worse. Like it's the same as it was. You just have to click a few more times to turn off the junk. And I'm reasonably okay with
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
far.
and they said this. They said this is a trajectory that for the typical user ends with leaving Plex because they remove the ability to host your own media without big caveats to combat piracy. Yeah, I mean, if they do that, then yeah, like that'd be bad. But I, as far as I can tell, like they're not really dropping support hosting media or like deprioritizing it at all.
Yeah,
It's just like,
they
yeah,
mostly
they're not gonna say like, please put all your, you know, pirated movies on here. This is great for that. But like, they're still supporting that. They're still adding features with like transcoding stuff. So I'm not seeing any like alarm bells there necessarily, beyond just like they're pretending to, you know, be something else so that, you know, Plex can remain as a personal media server option safely. So again, if they go down that road of like actually stripping out stuff, I'd be concerned. But I've not really seen that yet. Just the normal amount of like dumb decisions of, we're gonna release our app in a poor technical state, and we're going to charge for this edge case that doesn't apply to most people. So, you know, normal business stuff. I'm not seeing anything like super alarming, like Plex forgot that people will use it for home servers yet.
Yeah.
They can always fuck up. That's always a possibility.
Yeah. And all that said, I think this is on a ticking clock. I don't think they're going to kill the features, but I think at some point, someday, they're going to do a couple little things that make it so using it as a home server sucks a little too much. Or using it as, I don't know, name whatever use cases you like. But I think eventually that is going to come. But it's far enough down the road that right now, it's not a pressing issue. And when it happens someday, I'm hoping by then Jellyfin will be a little better. I mean, it kind of has to be, right? Obviously, yes, it could get worse, but in all likelihood, it's probably not going to. It's probably going to keep improving. And when the day comes that I actually feel like, okay, now I have to switch, at which point I will very happily say, okay, ready to switch. Let's do this thing. And that's okay. Like, that's the beauty of, I guess, being lazy. I benefit by being lazy in this scenario. Being an early adopter is not going to improve anything for me. And I know at this point, Jellyfin is not early adopter territory, but, you know, just putting it that way for the obvious reasons. So yeah, I don't see a reason to move yet, because none of what Plex has done wrong has affected me. And that's not to say that we're not a day away from Plex doing something really stupid that affects me, at which point we're right now 2 days away from me switching to Jellyfin.
They're being stupid. They're a little bit of big dumb energy, unfortunately.
Yeah, but their big dumb energy is not affecting me right now. And when it does, okay, I'll move. But for right now, their big dumb energy is just a thing that makes me feel bad about them. Makes me feel like one of these days they will do something that affects me, and when that day comes, I'll be unhappy about it. But for right now, it doesn't hurt me to keep using them. It's also not really helping them that I keep using them. Except maybe they're doing some stats tracking or something, which, okay, whatever. So yeah, it's doesn't press on me to switch. Also, David said, eventually Plex will have enough data breaches that scare off people. I mean, there was that time that they self-breached their data, so yeah, this is pretty much bound to happen. Actually, they've had what? They had the social network breach that they did to themselves. They had I believe it was a name and password breach that didn't include any financial information. And there was, I thought, one other, all within the last year, or maybe year and a half, something like that. Yeah. So they're not doing great.
the privacy settings on the like user profiles thing was another big dumb moment. So,
well, are you talking
again,
about the one where people were kind of outing themselves as maybe being gay or something like that because of what they watched, or is this a different thing you're talking about?
no, yeah, the thing where you could see what other people were watching,
Okay.
and some people were watching like adult stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a checkbox I would enable by default, but what do I know?
No. Well, to be fair, I don't even use the social networking stuff in Plex, so definitely not an issue.
Yeah, I turned all that off. But yeah, I don't. To be clear, Link Cleaner does not share what you're watching with any other people. Although I will probably add a counter.
You will probably add a
local
data
store.
breach feature.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually obtain everyone's email address. Now I'm gonna add some background thing somewhere where it like just keeps a ticker of how many links you've cleaned, so that next year there can be a link cleaner wrapped, which would be fun.
Part of me
And
wants to.
probably,
Part of me is totally picturing you going the extra step and just documenting what domain name the links are from, and being like, your most clean domain is YouTube, or
yeah, I mean, I might. I don't know yet. It would all be local data. I'm not uploading anything because I don't want to.
right.
So I could do that without it being like a really big privacy concern, I guess. But I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. At minimum, it's just going to be a wow, you cleaned 500 links this year. Isn't that fun? And maybe it gives you a little image to share. I think that'd be cute.
Hoopy's saying that apps are overusing the wrapped concept, but then also he loves it and wants more of it. And
yeah, I think it'd be fun for link cleaner because it's ridiculous. Especially if it's like very professionally done, like if it like gives you like a nice stat image you can share on social media or something. It more equivalent to like if like Docker told you like how many images you downloaded this year, like just very, very silly limited usefulness. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll figure something out. And then I guess implement it before January.
well, that would be the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
gotta head off now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to go.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll let you go. Have fun with whatever you're doing.
Yes. All right. Bye, everyone.
Take it easy. Okay, really quick, just because this vaguely reminded me. Everyone shared their YouTube recaps, and I actually totally skipped over the link to look that up. And I was really surprised that YouTube doesn't seem to pop it up if you... Well, YouTube and YouTube Music. I visited both, and I did not get anything being like, oh, hey, we have your recaps. I think I got an email for one of them, but I didn't see it after that. So I don't actually know. Let's see. a new Cody has entered the room. Yeah, I need to switch that over. Okay. Well, I guess we'll do that. All right. It's more visible in the mobile apps. That makes sense. And I never, oh my God, I never open YouTube on my phone. I know that makes me weird. And it's not, I shouldn't say I never do it, but it's so rare. My phone, here's the thing. This might sound weird, but ever since I stopped doing, honestly, ever since I stopped doing teardowns, my phone usage just plummeted. It's not to say I don't still have a phone in front of me all the time. It's not to say I don't still use it fairly often. But like the number of apps that I use, way lower. The amount of time I spend on my phone, I'm sure, is lower. And part of this is obviously like I'm at home pretty much all the time, with a few exceptions. So I always have a computer next to me. So I don't need to go to my phone for a lot of stuff. I can usually reach for my computer. So yeah, it just makes a lot more sense to do that. So yeah, that's I think explains most of that. But anyway, yeah, I didn't go looking at my recap yet, and funny enough, I don't see a link to it, which I was kind of browsing. I'm sure somebody, I swear it was Alyssa who shared a web link to the recap, and I do not know where it's at. Or somebody did. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up. All right. Anyway, so is it just YouTube/recap? That would make sense, but that would be a whole lot. Okay, it is. Okay, I obviously am not going... Wait, what? Okay. Don't make me click it. Okay, these screens suck. At least on desktop. This isn't very shareable. But also it's playing a song that I very much obviously could not share. Actually, I'm almost slightly worried that that if I have my headphones too close to the mic, it might start picking up the song. And it's not a bad song or anything. It's Hinder, Bring Me Back to Life. I think that's what it's called. It's a Hinder song. Which also, before I get to the final topic, just as a side comment, for anyone who has ever listened to a band and then the lead singer changes, and then you're like, wait a second. Like, if you don't know the lead singer has changed, that is the biggest what the hell is going on moment on a band. And I remember Hinder from what was it, 15-ish years ago. And then I saw, oh, Hinder had a new song, so I listened to it. Holy crap. It's like, how is this the same band? Like, what is going on here? And I finally looked it up, and it's like, oh, they got a new lead singer. Okay, that makes sense. And now I find myself also wondering, like, I want to hear what the new lead singer does with the old songs, because the voice is different, the style is different. Like, there's no way this guy is performing these same songs. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so has anyone else noticed that YouTube Music algorithm on Android Auto is so much worse than the mobile or web apps? I have not had that experience, but I don't listen to a lot of music in my car except with playlists. Hey kid, what's up? You want to come in here? My cat, or a different cat. Come on, bud. Hey. Yeah, you could walk this way. Hey. You're being very vocal at me, but you're not actually like doing anything. Okay, bye. um let's see. YouTube Music keeps queuing up terrible recommendations after picking a song in the car. Yeah, no, but YouTube Music has always done that. That's the thing, like it's always been bad at predictions or recommendations. um if you do it from your phone, it's fine. You're the unicorn, man. that that's the mystery. The thing that's broken here is that it works for you on the phone. No one else gets that. You're the like I said, like you're the unicorn. You got the experience nobody else gets to enjoy. Um so yeah, I think that's what's actually happening. Um no, I YouTube Music, I remember. Oh, it was sometime back when YouTube Music was still this actually goes back to Google Play Music too. Um, for the longest time, and both services did this. If you turned on, like you start a playlist off of any particular song, just a randomly generated playlist, and you would get somewhere between 10 and 15 tracks. Usually it was 10. I remember there was a very specific, like at 10 tracks, this usually flips. Um, you would watch for, I don't know, pick your or you would listen for however many tracks it was, and you would hear about 10 good songs that were close to and related to the original song. And then it was like track 11, boom, something completely wrong. Weird. Or maybe not something completely wrong, but it was definitely different. I very specifically remember turning on just some like rock music. And it was like 10 rock songs, and then song number 11, rap. And it's like, okay, I don't hate the song it gave me, but why is this rap now? Like, how did that happen? And then the very next song after that, or maybe it was 2 songs after that, we're into like yacht rap. And like some really messed up yacht rap. And it's like, okay, like you guys are trolling, right? You want me to just generate a new playlist. That's the only explanation for why you're doing this. It got so bad. I remember like we were talking about how to like cover this at AP. It was that bad. It was just so striking how goofy their algorithm was. And how predictable it was that it was going to be bad. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on, but for some reason it was always terrible. I haven't had the experience where like one song good and the rest are bad. I don't think I've had that experience, but I'm sure I've had some pretty bad ones. Yeah, the recommendation algorithm is just caca. Like it falls over super easily. And I know everybody says like, oh, well, Spotify's got such great recommendation algorithm. Yeah, sure. I'm not saying it doesn't. It obviously does. Here's the problem. I don't care. I mostly use playlists anyway. 90% of the songs that I want to hear on YouTube Music, I have in playlists. And I have dozens of a couple dozen playlists roughly. And some of them are short, literally just like 1 or 2 songs. Some of those playlists have like 80, 90, maybe over 100 songs in them. And sometimes like I just open up one of the playlists, scroll halfway down and hit play. Just pick a random track and hit play on it, and it's like, I'm good. Like this will keep me going for hours. I have a playlist dedicated specifically to headphone reviews. It's just tracks that are, it's mostly tracks that have uh like a very wide soundstage to them. Um some of them are songs I don't even like, but it, they're, if it's a, if it's a song that fits a particular like need to listen on headphones, very useful. Um so I have stuff in there like Thriller from Michael Jackson. Uh there's a Macklemore song. It's the song everybody loves. Which is good. It's a good song. But yeah, that one is one of my go-tos for headphone tests. Um uh Weirdly, and this is, go ahead, judge me if you want. I'm inviting the judgment. Carly Rae Jepsen, Call Me Maybe, has the craziest amount of bass in it. That song should not thump the way it does. It thumps. It is weird. But it is such a weirdly high key song because of her voice. Like you get this really you get this fairly high trebly quality to it, but it also has a bass line that's just thump 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 thump. It's so strange. Anyway, um yeah, if anyone ever ends up doing headphone reviews, you'll start building a list of songs like this that you use to test, and you quickly learn like the weirdest songs that are just like the perfect test cases. Anyway, so enough of that. Kind of. I'm sure we'll probably stumble back onto that subject somehow. But the last topic for this week, how do you not talk about it? It is the new crazy drone, the anti-gravity A1. It is a 360 drone, or 360 camera drone. Basically built on Insta360's 360 camera technology. And yeah, it's pretty bonkers. Also, I have it right here. So this came out, or was officially announced today. Thanks to Insta360, or well, thanks to Insta360 for sending it over. Thanks to Anti-Gravity for sending it over. And yeah, I have the little guy right here. Let's see. Yeah, pop into that view. He's a small boy, pretty tiny for drone. Watch out, DJI. So I have comments on that. But yeah, so it has camera up top, camera on the bottom, and it does in fact accomplish a full 360 view of the world. Or it might be like more 359 degree, but you get it. Oh, I thought that there's more to this page. Wow. I guess it's now in the learn more link. So do they have anything here to, oh, you guys can't even see what I'm looking at, but pop back over to it. So yeah, this is a pretty, it's a wild drone. This thing is such a weird thing to use, and I'm really impressed with it. But there are some caveats. So first off, just to say it, this is effectively, if you've ever seen anyone use a 360 camera, this is that, but like if you just sliced the 360 camera in half and stuck drone propellers into all four corners and just fly that. Like that is effectively what it is. And it works really well as exactly that. So you fly it with, as this shows, You fly it with a pair of goggles on. One of the coolest things about this, which this is probably predictable, but as you're wearing the goggles, you turn your head and you can see at whatever angle from the drone's perspective, you can see at that angle. So if you if you need to fly next to a wall for any reason, but you want to make sure you don't touch the wall, all you have to do is just turn your head and look in the direction of the wall, and that's the viewport you're seeing. It is so much more convenient than any drone I've ever flown. I'm so used to drones where if I'm worried that I'm getting too close to a tree limb or something like that, I have to specifically spin the drone in the right direction, maybe turn the camera up and down. I have to jump through hoops in order to check, am I too close to something? This, I literally don't have to think about it. I just turn and look, and it just instantly like, oh yeah, okay, I've got a couple feet of clearance, I'm good. It is so neat to just have that experience. Also, the control experience on this guy, it is all done through this. It is basically just a typical motion controller, though this has maybe a few more buttons than a motion controller should have, which, as a side note, I think their button placement sucks a little bit. Like, it's really hard to spot, or not spot, but feel for certain buttons. And oh boy, let me tell you, when you have goggles on and you can't see this thing, you're doing everything by feel, and some of this stuff, it's not easy to feel for. They tried making a few things a little bit easier, but it needs a little bit of work still. But hey, it's still good. I'll give it that. It is still good. And it also throws off your reactions if you've ever flown a drone before. So most people have only had the experience of flying a drone with a regular controller. It's like, you know, your typical gamepad style controller. I have one in reach. So yeah, typical controller. You've got obviously the 2 sticks, which, if I can actually successfully thread them, welcome back, Alyssa. How's it going? Yeah, so your typical controller. 2 sticks you can pretty much use for all of the purposes for basic navigation. You've got a few other buttons that can do, you know, basic operations. Couple of things on the shoulder. That's about it. This is how most people fly a drone. DJI also came out with a motion controller that is very similar to this. The shape is basically identical or close enough, and a few less buttons, but it is what it is. The thing is, it works different. AT or TMR sticks, I don't have any idea, and I don't think I'm doubting that DJI is even going to that high. Anyway, the thing is with DJIs, okay, so when you're using a stick like this, or well, motion controller like this, your trigger is basically a throttle. No big surprise there. When you want to fly up, you point up. When you want to fly down, you point down. Same thing works. Like, it's really straightforward and simple to use this. The thing that threw me off when I first started flying was with DJIs, which I didn't spend a ton of time with, but I've definitely flown with DJI's motion controller a few times. You want to turn the drone to the left or right, You just tilt it. Simple. You tilt to the left, you tilt to the right, and the drone goes that direction. Technically, you can also turn the controller, but try turning it in any direction very far, and you can tell it doesn't work great. And the neat thing about it is, with that, if you want, you can just, let's say you want to fly in a circle. You just tilt the controller to one direction, hold down the trigger, and you will fly in a circle. Just keep holding it in this same orientation. You will fly in a circle. That is not how... This isn't how the anti-gravity A1 flies. When you point in a direction, this is more like... I almost want to say more like a... Well, I don't know what to describe it as. If you point to the... First off, if you tilt it, nothing happens. Like, that doesn't do anything. If you turn it, what it is a pointer, and you just fly in that direction. It doesn't reorient the drone. You just fly in that direction. And because it's a 360 drone, it doesn't matter what orientation the drone is in. Ever. It literally never matters. That throws off every single thing that you've ever had if you've flown drones before. And it took me not a long time, but it definitely took me several minutes to get used to this concept and to figure out this concept, because I had to start at one point being like, how do I turn? Like, how do I make this turn? What do I do to turn it? And at various times I started thinking, oh, it seems to react to what direction I'm looking. I was wrong about that, and I figured out a little later why I was wrong about that. But at one point, I wish I had camera footage of this. I actually did take a camera to record myself, but I didn't record at the particular moment that I was doing this. I had to be standing out there just like looking like Ray Charles. Just, I'm turning my head around, looking different directions, and trying to just control it in the weirdest ways. And I'm just sitting there with the trigger kind of moving, or motion controller kind of moving around. It's kind of following me wherever I'm going. I had to look so weird. But the weird thing is, it works. That's not how it works, but that kind of gets you into making it work correctly. And what it is the controller, whatever orientation is pointed in, that's just the direction the drone's going to fly. So you could literally point the controller at your chest. Like, hold it down in front of you, point it at your chest. The drone will effectively fly backwards. That, to your viewpoint, the drone will just start flying backwards. Any direction you point it, the drone just flies in that direction. It doesn't turn. It just goes that way. And it took me, I think, a good 15 minutes to finally figure out, oh, that's how it works. At which point, I started to realize, if I want to fly it and be able to see what I'm doing and control it that way, it's not the drone that needs to turn around, it's me. It's literally like, I wanted to change the drone's orientation, but I was the one who needed to change for the drone. And at a certain point I realized, okay, if I want to like make a quick turnaround, I physically need to turn my body around. And realizing that was the wildest experience. And you almost have that like aha moment that I did not really see myself getting with a drone pretty much ever again. So yeah, anyway, it has been really fun to fly it. It's been super interesting to fly it. Which thanks, of course, again to Anti-Gravity for sending one over. So I'm going to have a proper review of it in the somewhere nearish future. Both a written review on the site and a video review. Plus, I'm going to do actually some more follow-up footage or follow-up videos later to cover that further. But let's see. I want to... One thing I am going to do with it, if I can... Let's see. What's that going to be called? I'm looking. Where is that window at? There should be... What is that window even going to be called? Because it's not showing up where I thought I would. Why is that window not in my list? This is annoying. And why are some of these... Oh, I see why that's there. Okay, those are fine. So I wanted to show some of the footage that I captured. But why does OBS not have any ability to capture that window? Can I put it over in this screen and just capture the screen? Okay. So one of the cool things, if I can... Yeah, let's just do a screen capture. If I can find... Oh, there it is. I skipped right over that. Okay. Oh wait, can I do that? It'd be so much easier if that works. Okay, well, that's a little janky, but that'll do. Just have to move that over, make sure it's correctly set up. Move that down here. I'm almost there. I swear. And what happens if I reorient that? Hey, that kind of works. Can I transform? I'm almost there. Fit to screen? Eh. It's not quite what I was going for, but we can do... Okay. This is ugly, but it's just gonna have to work. Okay. Oh, stupid OBS bug. Got it. All right. We're in good shape, I think. Oh, nope, not quite. So I have to leave it there? That's weird. Wow, and that's not doing anything? That's so weird. Okay. Hold on a sec. I'm going to move this just so I can get my chat window back to where I can see it because it's covered up. All right. Okay, what's the pricing on this? We're going to come back to that in a second. Because it's not cheap. This is not a cheap drone by any stretch. But yeah, we will come back to this. Or actually, I guess, let's see. We can hit the buy it now, and I'll I will show off that part first. So okay. So starting on the standard bundle. This is literally the entry level one. $1,600. Not gonna deny, it is a pricey boy. Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. And to some extent, I'm going to freely acknowledge that Insta360, their cameras alone are already basically the most expensive in the market for action cameras or 360 cameras. Like if you go look at the Ace Pro 2, which is a action camera, straight up normal action camera, but it has a flip screen, so sort of that justifies a little bit higher of a price. But their price is significantly higher than a GoPro or DJI Action 5 Pro. Both of which, like if you get the current iterations of any of these, you'll be spending at least $100 less, or more than that. And yeah, Insta360 is already a pricey brand. And then you go look at most of their other stuff, and yeah, they're pretty expensive. The if I remember, actually, I think their current, let's see, their current the 360 camera that is their current model, the X5, I want to say starts at 600. Oh, no, I wasn't too far off, though. They, I guess, have it on sale. Yeah, it used to start at 550, and for whatever reason, it's 465 right now. It is, by all accounts, a really great camera. I have an X4, not an X5, and the X4 is really good, but it's not exactly. Well, the differences are actually surprisingly minor too, but yeah, the X5 is obviously a pretty high-end camera. But yeah, so going back to the anti-gravity A1, the pricing, you go to the Explorer bundle and you're up to $1,900, or the Infinity bundle gets you to basically even $2,000. Let's see which. Okay, that actually answers one small question from you, but if I remember, okay, so the difference between these bundles, I need to actually look at this closer, but I believe the biggest difference is the standard bundle is one flight battery, which I will say right now is not enough. Let's see. And if you go to the Explorer bundle, then you get 3 flight batteries and a charging hub. And I think no. Okay, that's in the cheap one. The sling bag is a upgrade in the Explorer bundle. More spare propellers. Weirdly, I did not get that many propellers. And all these bundles, which I think this also partially explains the price, all these bundles include the drone, the goggles, the motion controller. Like when you factor in all of that, that is a fair amount of technology, so I kind of get why it's more expensive than a lot of drones, but it's still pricey. And then the Infinity bundle basically is all the original stuff, except they upgrade to high capacity flight batteries. And that's so worth it. It's so incredibly worth it to be on the high capacity batteries. It's not technically doubling your flight time, but it is effectively doubling your flight time when you factor in like how much battery you actually get to spend in an actual flight. You're effectively doubling it when you go to the high capacity batteries. So yeah, it is not a cheap drone. But let's see. Do I have? Yeah, good. I still have that there in that position. Okay, so some of the cool things about this, obviously the big advantage of having a 360 drone is you can basically like start flying and oh wait, is this the wrong? Yeah, this is the wrong video. Okay, hold on. Bounce over to, let's use this one. You can be flying along or have the video of yourself flying, and at any time you want, let's say just want to pause here, I can just reframe where I'm looking. I can look up, I can look down, I can obviously just spin it in any direction. You can just reframe and look at anything, which is just such a game changer for like shooting or flying over any particular space. It looks so or it's so easy just to be like, oh hey, I flew past this one thing, did I miss something over here? Or you point your camera in the wrong direction as you're flying, or maybe not wrong direction, but like maybe you miss something. Maybe in order to not run into something, let's say I wanted to fly like straight through this direction, I have to watch for this tree, but the thing I actually want to record is the water over here. If you try to strafe that shot with a regular drone, you're not, eventually, like, your view is going to be this. You're not going to have any idea if you're about to hit that tree unless you're just physically watching the tree for yourself. Whereas with this drone, like, one of the coolest things, I didn't really test this a whole lot, but I figured it out pretty quickly. All you have to do, first off, you don't ever have to look at the water at all. You just, like, where am I going to fly? Oh, I just need to fly straight through here and avoid, oops. I just need to make sure I avoid these branches. Like, that's it. Just avoid those branches. Easy, very easily done. And later in post, I just come back here. I can set a couple of, I'm not very good at their software yet, by the way, so don't ask me to do this. But I can basically set a couple of keyframes and just to have it constantly be pointed at the water, and it's easy. Like, this is not a hard thing to do. As someone who's been plummeted by snow, seeing grass in December is kind of wild. Yeah, by the way, I shot this yesterday. This is literally December 3rd video footage. So yeah, I know what you're saying. The funny thing is, you can't see it from here, but this is at a park where I can get right to about here. Yeah, you really won't be able to see it, but there is this thing that they do here. I think it's called the Festival of Lights or something. But way off in the distance, there are a bunch of wireframe, like, animals and designs and stuff like that, and they all have Christmas lights on them. I've driven through it once. It's okay. It's not worth the cost of admission, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, this was that's how we do Christmas here, I guess, or Christmas decoration. But yeah, having the ability to reframe is just such a game changer. And it's not necessarily convenient. Like, this does take more time in post. Like, editing this or doing an edit job on this takes a while. But it's interesting. It's a flexibility that having it and knowing that you have it is really neat. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. Also, just figuring out how to fly it. Well, before I get to that, I should also point out the other neat thing. If you've ever watched anyone play with 360 footage, there's the other thing that you can do, which is you can kind of like change your perspective in a weird way. And for some reason, this doesn't really work properly. So I'm trying to figure out how to control this using the trackpad. Maybe it... Why does it never work? It always takes a few attempts for me to get this right. I'm not trying to zoom out. There we go. So being able to go into is it still not quite working? There we go. So you can enter like the super distorted worlds kind of effects. So, you know, it just looks like you're looking at a thing from the center of like a giant pit. And of course, you can go into what everyone refers to as tiny planet mode, which is basically the same thing, but the entire sky becomes your big, huge space, and anything you get close to is just super amplified in a really wild way. So, you know, this stuff is, to me, it's gimmicky, but it's kind of fun when you're just using it for the first time. It's certainly not something you're going to do a lot, but it is neat when you get to play with it. I also did a flight between trees to try to get used to flying it. This was a spot where I surely, without question, looked a lot like Ray Charles, as my head's just turning and I'm trying to navigate through this, not understanding how navigation really worked yet. But I didn't hit anything, so I'm counting it as a win. Though kind of on the subject of you mentioning snow and seeing grass, I gotta say one thing about coming out here at this time of year. All these trees normally would have leaves on them, and it's not, I won't call it depressing, but it's a little bit of a bummer that that most of them have lost their leaves and are just these skeletons of their tree-ish form. Like, they look so much cooler when there's leaves. Everything looks so much better. So one of the things that I did, let's see if I pop that up. Okay, good. Those don't pop up in view. That's probably a good thing. Not that I have anything I can't let you guys see, but there's probably something I shouldn't. I don't know. Oh, well, that would be fine if people saw that. Okay, where is... I don't know if I can pop it up in this viewer, but... Oh, by the way, also the drone is surprisingly quiet. Like, I flew it right over my head several times, and I can hear it. Like, for sure you can hear it, but it's really not bad. Like, it doesn't get super loud or anything. But here is what the interface looks like. If I move it, hey, good. I can just move the window and it works. So the interface is reminiscent of using like a Wii, or at least the motion controller has a menu that works kind of like a Wii motion controller, which it is wild. So this is obviously me just kind of looking around, being able to, it like literally very first use of it. I'm just looking around trying to acclimate myself to how it works.
Hold point updated.
Let's see. We'll jump ahead a little bit. This is me getting it to take off, which was this the one where, was this the failed takeoff?
Hold point updated.
No, okay, that was the successful one. The first time I accidentally had one of the propellers just barely touching something, and it detected that a propeller was blocked, and so it's like, not going to take off here. But yeah, just getting it up in the air, like, this is what it's like. You can literally just turn your head and look around, and you actually have like the motion controller targeting reticle. I don't know if you can really see it super well, but if you look close at that screen, or at that red block that's in the upper left hand corner, there's a tiny little like hexagon that's right next to it. That is the targeting pointer that goes with your motion controller. As you move the motion controller around, that's always there unless you point it somewhere outside of your field of view. And wherever that's pointed, you hold the trigger down, that's where the drone goes. That's it. Like, it just moves in that direction. So if you want to change your direction, you can just physically turn around, which makes it easier. But you don't have to. You can just turn the motion controller. In theory, you could literally hand the motion controller to somebody else. They can point it at you, and the drone just flies backwards. Oh yeah, it's super cool. It takes a while to figure it out. More wild that I was wearing the hat with the goggles. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. I knew I was recording myself, and I was like, I'm gonna do this because I'm totally gonna show this off to people, and I want to screw with anyone who's been dying to see me hatless. But yeah, I like this spot right here. I got to flying out there. I'll back this up and show it again. So if you watch that targeting reticle, I try to go off to the left, and I think, oh, I'll turn that direction. And instead, when I started flying that way, it was more like I was strafing to the left. So then I turned and looked, and it didn't do anything. And like, here I am, again, that's kind of strafing. And it's like, wait, why am I not turning? It took me several minutes of trying this before I started to really grasp, oh, it doesn't matter what direction I'm looking. It doesn't matter what direction it's pointed. What matters is just where the motion controller is pointing. That's all that ever matters. Wherever the motion controller is pointing, it just goes in a straight line in that direction. Took way too long to figure that out, but once I got there, it was surprisingly easy. Let's see. And then, like I showed before, I started trying to do a slalom through the trees. And my first attempt at this was not dangerous. I didn't get close to any trees, but man, the object avoidance did not like this path the first time I took it. It noticed little tiny branches surprisingly well. You can't see it super well in this footage, but if you're noticing that there's like yellow haze around the screen and sometimes red haze, like there was a lot of red right there. That's object avoidance telling you, hey, we detect stuff. We think you're going to run into something. And it will stop, like straight up. It does not want to F around with this. Like, it just stops. And kind of waits for you to try to go in a direction that's not going to like break the drone. Which very notably, look, I'm not going to say that this drone feels flimsy. It doesn't feel flimsy per se, but it definitely does not have that high durability, like it's going to survive a crash kind of thing. It does not feel like it's going to survive crashes very well at all. So, yeah, $1,600, and if you hit something and it falls more than about 6 feet, I'd start worrying about $1,600 being out the door. I didn't think to ask about this, but I should. I wonder what their strategy is on like replacing an individual drone, and or do they have a repair program? Because it'd be nice to know these things. But also you can see, I mean, it's not super interesting, but you can see like the details along the bottom for like battery life remaining is at the bottom left. You have 3 different batteries to deal with. You have to have you have a battery in the motion controller, a battery to power the goggles, which the battery is a thing that hangs down around your neck and connects by a wire. And of course you have a battery in the drone. So yeah, it's 3 different batteries that you've got to keep or that you have to charge up before you can go to a flight. Which that's a little irritating. Not gonna lie. As someone who's got a ton of charging cables around me, even I hit this point of like, I don't have enough to charge these, plus my phones, plus this thing and that thing. Like when I'm walking to other rooms to use charging cables, that makes me feel like the normal person isn't going to be able to charge everything at once. Okay, so anyway, enough of this location. I also went out to this location where, if this is the right one. Yeah. Why are you... Oh, wait. No, that wasn't the right video. This is the one. So I went out to this location that has this crazy bridge. I mean, it's not that crazy, but it's this footbridge that goes over this little river, which, by the way, is literally named Little River. But yeah, I just figured how cool would it be to fly underneath and over this bridge a bunch of times. So for no reason in particular, I just kind of check out that waterway that I didn't know existed before, and then I come back to the bridge. So I wasted a little too much time on that spot. Okay. But yeah, just being able to fly under the bridge, and again, like, you know, at any time I can just reorient my view, and I can basically inspect like under the bridge by just flying at various spots if I wanted to. Reorienting the camera at any time is just a really neat effect to be able to have. Let's see, can I get into there we go. That's obviously one, again, the gimmick, but hey, it's, there we go. Actually find the bridge. The gimmick of being able to twist the bridge to look in its own weird way. Let's see. Yeah, even looking up or down. Yeah, that is one of the coolest things. Okay. Let's switch to tiny planet orientation, because that is one thing that I did with the bridge earlier, and it's just, it's so wild when you get to do that. Let's fly that back real quick. You already see what it's about to do, but just the bridge looks like it comes out to just wrap around you, and then than getting past it. Like, you start thinking about all the ways that this fisheye lens can start doing weird things to your image, and that makes it so much more fun. You can have like weird fun with this, and obviously, like, is anyone going to use this for any practical purpose? No, of course not. But it's there. It's just wild to be able to get this kind of perspective on things. Now this is kind of a perfect spot. I just happened to see it. If you watch this video closely, you'll start to see some of the problems though. Again, watching close, and this is where I started running into some of the rough parts of this drone. So if you're flying a DJI drone, I'll tell you, that is some of the most pristine video you're ever going to get. It is bonkers how good DJI drones look. This, you can just look at it and tell it's not as sharp. And here's why. Or here's part of why. The footage that this records is 8K. However, it's 8K for a full 360 view. So that means that you have two sensors. Each of them is actually capturing 4K individually. And looks like a bad trip. Yeah, believe me, I've had this conversation, and it's like, if you show this to someone who's high, it is either going to blow their mind in a good way or blow their mind in the worst way. Like, there's no middle ground. They're going to either love it or hate it. Anyway, it occurs to me I should probably move this over. So you guys, yeah, that's a little better. I realized the text chat was over half the video. Yeah, the resolution, you're capturing 8K in it. That sounds like a really big, impressive amount, but considering how much is in that 8K, like, you turn your camera this way, if it was any normal drone, this would be shot in 4K, this viewpoint. But so would that, so would that, so would that, so's that, and down there. You're spreading that 8K across all these orientations. All these pixels are 8K, are within that 8K. So when you're looking at just a portion of it, you're only looking at a portion of that 8K resolution. So in reality, like, any viewport that's sort of your normal viewport like this, you're getting probably closer to about like 1440. It's going to be like HD, but maybe a little better than HD. Like, that's just kind of how the math works out. You're not getting 8K resolution. You're not even getting like 4K or 2K. You're getting a low resolution because that's what it caught. And so, yeah, the image is obviously just not as sharp. Another problem, DJI, one thing that they did very well is they have an incredible gimbal on the camera. If you watch this though, you'll notice a lot of jitters. It's not terrible, and some of these jitters, to be fair, are like, maybe my computer's like not playing every frame perfectly, but there's a whole lot of jitters in here that have nothing to do with that. It's because I think the drone gimbal just isn't that great. It's fine, it's good, but it seems to have some jitters that just, it doesn't handle well. And maybe it's not the gimbal, maybe it's the drone itself. I don't know. I don't have any good way to really tell, but there are times when it just jitters and everything in the screen or everything in view kind of shakes for just a moment. And it's like, yeah, that's a problem. I don't know how big of a problem, but it's a problem. So there is a third thing to point out, and there's no other way to say it than this, and this is, oops, not that one. This is why I had this video here. So this is just while the drone is sitting at rest. And by the way, here's the landing gear for the drone. These retract when it goes into flight, and that's the only part that would otherwise be visible. But since it's landed, they're just there. We're gonna zoom in on this area. Now, this is sitting at parking lot level, so this concrete block right here, that's just like a curb kind of thing. Watch the grass and watch the curb. So you just see weird effects, like it's jelloing sometimes. All of a sudden, a part just moves. That's a catch with a 360 camera. It is literally just trying to stitch these parts together, because each lens is capturing some part of that, but they don't always know which one to use. So sometimes it just grabs a different part off of each camera. Neither of the cameras is moving. It's just at one point or another decides, oh, we'll grab a little bit off of this one or grab a little off that one. And it tries to stitch them, but it doesn't always do it right. And there are different modes that you can use for stitching. Very notably, this is video that their format keeps the two captured videos separate off of each sensor. So you can change the stitching method. And I will give them credit. Their AI stitching looks not flawless, but it's really good. So rendered video can actually come out pretty well. If you're pixel peeping, like, you can see a little bit of jello effect, but it's really minor with the AI stitching. But yeah, it's not always perfect. And very notably, the goggles. Let's see. It should be this one. Yeah, the view through the goggles. I'll just I guess I can't zoom in on that. But if you look at that same area, like, you can see just how much jello effect you get out of the goggles. The stitching that the goggles are doing is way, way, way less precise. And like, there were various times where I just looked at things, like, really anything on the horizon is in your stitch line. And if it's in the distance, usually it handles it perfectly. If whatever's in the horizon is kind of close up, you really see those stitch lines. So they sort of just stand out. And in fairness, a little bit of this is also affected by the fact that I was flying in it wasn't dark. But this is, I shot this after, well, not after sunset. Like, you can tell the sun is still there in the sky, kind of, but it's obviously super overcast. But it wasn't too long after this that when I started driving home, and like, I pulled out onto the road and immediately turned on my lights. It was dark. Like, it was still light enough I could see color, but it wasn't light enough that it would make any sense to drive without lights on. So, it doesn't help that I was driving in that I was flying in relatively low light. But yeah. So there are rough spots, and I gotta say, anyone who's looking at this for sort of like pretty visuals is going to be disappointed compared to a DJI drone. Right now, you could get a, let's see. I want to find the DJI Mini. Really? Is it the 4 Pro? Yeah, I guess it is the 4 Pro. The Mini 4 Pro. Just looking this up as I... Oh, that's out of stock? How's that out of stock? It's not... I don't want the Air. Okay, well, it's not the one I was looking for, but just for context, the DJI Mini 4K, this isn't their highest end or anything, but it's a really good drone. You can get it for $300. If you were to take it out and fly it in these same conditions, it's going to look 10 times better. The Mini 4 Pro is $760, well, $759, and it would blow the socks off of this drone, the anti-gravity A1, in terms of how pretty it looks. It's not as fun to fly. It's not as capable, obviously, of being able to reframe. That's super obvious that they're not the same thing, but yeah, it's a very different experience. So yeah, this leaves me with hope for the A1. I can't wait to see what the A1 becomes, because it is such a cool way to fly. It's such a cool way to see things, and just being able to use which video is this? Okay, let's go back to this one. Jump ahead to there. But right now, I feel like the A1 it has that first generation feel to it. There's a lot that they still need to do, but once they get this thing to the right level, it is going to be bonkers. It's going to be so good. But I think it's going to take them a generation or two to work out sort of the bugs. They need to get a better gimbal. The gimbal just needs to be better. That is the biggest like non-starter in the whole thing. Because the jitters that you get in the video need to not happen. And some of this for sure is related to the gimbal. Some of it may be related to the drone. The stitch line, I don't know that there's a good, easy way to solve that. Maybe fit a third camera in or something. Or a big part of the problem in my perspective is the stitch line happens to fall on the horizon. Like the camera's on the top and the camera's on the bottom. So anything that comes in between, like at the actual horizontal level, that's the stuff that's going to be affected by the stitch line. And maybe the trick is try to like reorient the cameras so that the stitch line isn't going to be in what you'll generally consider to be the front. You know, if you could literally put like a camera on the front and a camera on the back, as opposed to one on top, one on bottom, that could fix it or help. I don't know. There's different little things that if they can improve them, and they have to improve a few things, obviously. This is going to be such a fundamentally different drone. It has the potential to just completely change the drone industry, or at least unseat the dominance that DJI has had after all these years. And that is, I think, super exciting. Like, this is an actual like shake up the industry moment. Even if the drone itself, like, honestly, I don't feel like the footage is good enough that I would ever use it for like real estate. I would never use it for shooting a movie. I would never use it for I don't know. There's so many things. Like, you couldn't use it for certain stuff. Whereas DJI drones, yeah, not a question. You could easily use a DJI drone for all of those things. And here I am. You can't really see it super well, but yeah, I'm staring at the ground as I'm landing it. Let's which also, by the way, this is the final footage, and you see all that noise. It does not handle low light super well. But that's a 360 camera issue in general. Like 360 cameras are never good at noise. But yeah, me just staring at the ground as I'm landing. Which it has a really good return to home feature. As far as I can tell. Yes, it is. Thank you. At this point, it's an old Accord, but it was the first Accord, fun fact, that had Android Auto in it. I had to get it because my previous car got totaled by a drunk driver. Fortunately, I was not in it. But yeah, so that happened. Anyway, I could, let's see, can I find it? Yeah, I can find that. Easy. Okay, not that one. We want this one. So yeah. When landing. Oh wait, that's not the landing I was looking for. No, it must have been that one then, right? Okay, I land somewhere right around. I got into some tutorials by accident, and they don't let you like cancel out of them. You either have to skip them entirely or go through them. And I had a little bit of battery life, and it's like, okay, I'll just hover in the air while that's going on. Oh, that's not the spot I wanted. Okay, there's a landing. I thought it was. I guess not. Okay, so it had to be over here. Anyway, I'm not sure, but I think it is doing a thing where it detects these landing pads, and if you tell it to return home, or if you start trying to land it, then I believe it detects where the landing pad is, and it tries to center itself as it lands. Which I've always wondered if that's how these things worked, because DJI also has landing pads like this. But I don't know. I've never actually checked into whether or not that's a thing. How does that happen? Was it a parking lot? What do you mean? Well, how does what happen? Oops. I need to grab that. Let's back up to here. And yes, this is a parking lot of sorts. Okay. We'll come back to, yeah, this one. All right. I'll let this get into the air. Oh, the drunk driver thing. Okay, so I was at a house party at a friend's place. I'd been there many, many times before this. That particular night ended up being pretty busy, and so a lot of cars were parked on the street. Now there is enough space on the street, or on next to the curb, between the curb and an actual lane, that you could absolutely park your car. It was safe. It was legal. It was a legal place to park. Anyway, the drunk driver pulled out of the driveway of this place. He was enough of a dumbass that he decided to gun it, and he lost a little bit of control, as far as I understand. Like, yeah, you can see enough of me. So here's a street, the line of the street. So here's the street, here's the driveway, and like sidewalk and stuff like that. He guns it out, apparently lost a little bit of control. He whipped around and then plowed right into my car. So first off, when he came back into the house to tell someone like, hey, I had an accident. When he came back in, first he said he dinged somebody's car. Okay. Dinged someone's car. That's what he started with. This turned into a little more than that. So he didn't ding the car. When I got out and found the car, so the rear tire, or rear wheel, sorry, not rear tire, the rear wheel, normally they're like this to the ground. Like, here's the left side of the tire, here's the right side of the tire, or I guess reverse those for you guys. Here's the ground. Now imagine what it looks like when the tire is this to the ground. I'm not kidding. He bent the tire to the point that it was almost not touching. Everyone saw this, and by now he had made a claim telling people that he was driving, I think he said he was driving 15 miles an hour. Oh, you thought the car flipped sideways. No, the wheel bent. Or actually, it wasn't the wheel, it was the axle attached to the wheel. But yeah, he hit it hard enough that he fully bent the wheel this way. He also knocked the car up onto the sidewalk. Not very far. Admittedly, it was only like just a couple inches up there, but still. Yeah. And this, by the way, I guess I should also point out 2 different wheels. He bent the one. That was the one that was not on the sidewalk. The one that ended up on the sidewalk, somehow that one was more or less okay. But somehow he slammed the car hard enough that he bent the wheel that he hit directly, and also pushed the car up onto the sidewalk. Yeah, it was definitely impressive. And to this day, there is an ongoing question of how did he do it? The distance that he traveled, I don't know how you get up to speed enough to do this, because also he hit, what was the car he was driving? It was some little, look, my car, I guess I should also give this context. My car was a Nissan Altima. It's not a heavy car. It's not the lightest car either, but it's, it's a pretty typical standard sedan. He was driving what I would just generally refer to as a toy car. It was a very lightweight car. How he did this much damage to my car is actually surprising. And when the cops showed up, because of course eventually they were going to, we were going to call them anyway, but when the cops showed up, first off, he tried telling them, I'm not kidding, he tried telling them someone else was driving. He came up with a couple of different stories. Fortunately, because that made it pretty easy for the cops to realize something was up. Anyway, so he managed to lie to the cops a few times, and the cops came over to me and were like, you know, what do you know? What can you say? And everyone in the parties was like, listen, none of us saw it, and so we can't tell you with confidence what he did. But he said he did it. Like, he said he was the one driving. And then he later changed his story to say someone else was driving. So, you know, like, what are we supposed to do here? We can't throw him under the bus, but at the same, because we just don't know. But at the same time, we're pretty sure he was the one driving. Anyway, so the cops eventually, they came, they asked questions. They were both in agreement of like, there's no way somebody did this driving 15 miles an hour. It's literally impossible. There's no conceivable way. So this guy obviously just gunned it out of the driveway and just top speed as fast as he possibly could have accelerated, just railed into my car. Funny enough, this dumbass, by the way, I've never talked to this guy since. He tried sending me a Facebook friend request at one point after everything was sorted out. And it's like, yeah, dude, I'm never gonna friend you. What are you thinking? Anyway, and I don't know the guy. I've never met him before, never seen him since, but whatever. Anyway, so at a certain point, they obviously loaded up my car and towed it to a car lot, a car dealership where they basically were just going to hold it until somebody could come and check it out for insurance, because everyone saw it and was immediately like, yeah, that's totaled. There's no way that your relatively old car is not going to get totaled, because it's toast. And they loaded up his car, a regular tow truck could take. Mine had to actually be loaded up onto a platform, which mine also ended up leaving a big gash in the street, like asphalt, thanks to a axle that was just like a bare piece of metal sticking down as they were dragging it up onto the platform of the tow truck. It just, you could just see as it is just like cracking asphalt and like just pushing it out of the way like sand. It was something. Anyway, just gonna start this playing again because why not? Anyway, so as this guy is riding with the tow truck driver, he tells the tow truck driver everything. Literally just tells the tow truck driver everything. So the tow truck driver gets to where they're going, which the cops are there. I don't remember if he called them or what happened exactly, but anyway, yeah, he gets where they're going, hops out of the truck and says, yeah, he just confessed everything to me. Here's exactly what he said. And the cops were like, cool, thanks. They immediately cuffed the guy and took him to jail. And sure enough, they like called me, I think it was like 10 minutes later, and said, oh yeah, so he just told the truck driver or the tow truck driver everything. We arrested him, so, you know, don't worry about it. You don't have to testify or anything. We've got this guy dead to rights. So, good luck with insurance. Hope everything works out well, and see you never. Like, that was it. It was, I honestly, like, it was the easiest time I could have asked for in that sense. And the insurance company did not make any hassle about it. They ended up overpaying for my car, which was interesting. They overpaid for it, and literally everyone said the same thing. Yeah, that's because drunk driver hit your car. They they want to overpay now, and they're hoping that you don't have any other claims or issues, and they just want you to take the money and run. So yeah. I mean, they didn't overpay by that much, but they did overpay. And so I spent, for reasons, I knew that there were going to be cars coming out with Android Auto, but because of the model year not being there quite yet, none of those cars were going to be available for like, I think it was about 2.5 months. So I spent about 2.5 months more or less without a car. I borrowed one on occasions, but yeah, I basically spent 2.5 months without a car, and then took a train up to Portland, stayed with some friends, and then went up and bought a car that day. Well, 2.5 months later that day, but you get the point. And yeah, I got as I understand it, I got the first car with Android Auto to come off that lot. The timing was, I'm not going to say good. It wasn't good timing, but I mean, I did get to pick up Android Auto pretty early in its life. It had only been out on, oh, what was it? Was it not a Kia? Or was it a Kia? No. Now I don't remember. Anyway, there was only like, there was the Polestar that had it first, and then there was an actual like car people bought that had it for 1 year before it started actually making. Oh yeah, you're right. I think it was Hyundai. I've never known. Nobody knows how to say it. People even ask their salespeople, and they're like, "Yeah, we all say it different." But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what had it. Anyway, so I didn't want to get that. And my choices were down, or the initial choices that I had at that time were basically I could get a Ford, which would get it eventually, but not on day one, which I didn't want a Ford anyway. Bad experiences. And the other option was get a Honda. Nissan wasn't going to do Android Auto for at least another year. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to get a Honda. And that's the car I ended up getting. It was also basically the only one on the lot that had the right options. So yeah, that's the story of how I ended up with that car. And weirdly, it just sort of worked out that I got it because it also basically was for work. So yeah, I don't know how worthwhile that story is, but that's how my car got totaled by a drunk driver without me in it. So I guess I'll open the floor. Does anybody have any questions about anything you've heard here? Including the drone, but not limited to the drone. If you have other random questions, by all means, fill me in, or ask me and I'll fill you in. So let's see. Also, I should note, not that this is super important, but I think it's interesting. Right now, if you buy this drone, I didn't even see the question about video size. Okay, so let's see. The one that I've got playing right now, this is 03, and the video length is 6 minutes 27 seconds. Is that the right one? Yeah, that should be the right one. Okay. For 6 minutes 27 seconds of video, and this is in 8K resolution, so the highest that the camera will capture, and 30 frames per second, I believe. This is 8.66 gigabytes. And if that sounds crazy, it's actually not. Honestly, I thought it was going to be worse. This is pretty manageable for all things considered. Like, yeah, it's big. It's a big file size, but it's really not that bad. And believe me, there are other things. What would a DJI? Okay, that one's trickier. Also, do I have any DJI footage I can pull up? Oh, the crazy thing is, I reused an SD card. I don't think I formatted it. Actually, I'm sure I didn't. Okay, so I reused the SD card in the goggles that just happened to have some footage left over from a DJI review that I did. So, if I can, yeah, I'll just use this thing. I don't care about speed. Okay, oh, there it is. Got so many adapters for reading SD cards. Okay. Pop that in. Oh, okay. For a second, it's like, wait, is there no music playing? Somehow I accidentally muted my headphones. Okay. Okay. Where's that? I think this should be right. Hooray. All right, I'm gonna try to find a video that's about the same size. Okay, I don't have a video that size. Guess I don't think I do. Nope. Okay. That was 8.66. How about... wait, is this 6? Okay. This actually works perfect. All right. So again, this is a 6-minute 27-second video, and the DJI video that I have here is 6 minutes 19 seconds. So I mean, we're talking a difference of 8 seconds. The 360 drone is 8 seconds longer, which I mean is nothing. Okay, so the DJI video is 3.76 gigabytes. The 360 drone, 8.66 gigabytes. So more than double the size. I think we can agree that's a hefty difference. All right, and just for comparison's sake, now that's not the best way to do this. Oh, but that might be the only way to do this without. Yeah. Okay, I guess we are going to do it this way. I want to show a comparison of the quality, which isn't a fair comparison. I'm freely acknowledging that. Let's turn off. Pop into that view. Can I turn off? Is there a way to turn off timeline? I don't know that there is. Let's try. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, that doesn't work either. Okay, I don't know if there's a way to hide that. This is tricky. A workspace. I can. That's not really helping. Yeah, I don't think I have a good way to do that. Okay, really quick also, just so this video actually looks okay, let's pick just something to clean up the color. Yeah, you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm really quickly just doing like the roughest color grade just so this doesn't look like absolute garbage. And I still shot this at a really that kind of works. This was also shot at a really bad, like, low light. Okay, all right, so if I switch the let's switch this to DaVinci Resolve. Okay. This doesn't work super well because I can't fully hide. Actually, wait, can I hide scopes? I don't think I can. I know there's a way to do it. I admit I just don't know how. But anyway, you can see the video here. I mean, even though this is smaller and taking less space, like, you can see a difference. This video is just sharper. It's smoother. You know, it's further away. Like, that's a little bit of a cheat. It is just further away from anything, and so therefore, like, the 360 drone, a lot of the little errors are more likely to be visible. But I can tell you right now, like, there's no question this looks just as pristine up close to stuff as it does at a distance. And some weird erratic flying, but yeah, there's just no comparison between these two. This just looks so much sharper. And again, like, I shot this at a bad time of day. Like, you can see how long the shadows are, you can see how little light there is, but yeah, it's just night and day in terms of, is this where I do? Yeah, okay. This is one of the spots that I love shooting. And for some reason I like doing this flyover over the these little rapids. And like, I'm not super close to the water, but you can just see like there's a lot of detail in the water that it just looks crisp. It looks clean. This looks like something that you actually see somewhere. Let's really quick bring up the... I'm going to try bringing up the... Man, that looks so bad as the way I'm doing it. It's just washing it out really badly. But let's put a little... Whoa, that went wrong. Yeesh, that's all looking really bad. Let's reset that. Maybe I've got the wrong LUT on here. And I don't know... Nope, that's not what I wanted. Shift S. I can never remember that key. Okay. Oh, that's why that looked wrong. Okay, I was in the wrong window. Okay. Where's the? There we go. Get the right wheels. Okay, we're gonna do this really janky, but so this is not a good grade by a long shot, but it's what we're gonna do for the moment. Sorry, it's being kind of janky because I actually have a few too many things running all at once, but that brings it up a little bit so it's at least more visible for stream purposes. But like, you can just see little things in this view that I don't feel like were visible or could have been visible in the Insta3 or the anti-gravity A1 video. Yeah, the movements are just so much smoother. Obviously the flight movement isn't as smooth because a lot of times I'm just like turning around as fast as I can. I can fly a DJI drone really smooth when I want to. If I'm not trying to, then you get jerky movement. Not that it's super important, but I noticed something earlier in the video that I just want to point out. Because I don't think I ever saw it before. But there is... where were you? There is somewhere right in here a duck. Yeah. Okay. Back it up here. Okay. If you look to the far left side of the screen, just about a quarter of the way up the screen, can I zoom in on it? There's a duck. I've never seen him before in this video. So we'll back it up a little bit more. But yeah, I just somehow spotted him for the first time in this. And yeah. Oh, sorry, there was a second one. That's the one I originally noticed too. So where that original guy was, if you look straight to the right, there's one crossing the river right there. Still live? Yeah, sort of. I'm probably gonna wrap up really soon, but yeah, there's that little guy right there, and he's just floating across the river to his buddy. I never noticed that in this video before. The fun things that you spot when you're looking back over old footage. But yeah, the DJI footage, it just looks cleaner and nicer, crisper. So I'm not saying that one is really better than the other. They're for different purposes, at least for right now. That being said, the fact that Anti-Gravity has this drone that can do something no other drone is doing, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first really big shot across DJI's bow since a camera drone almost 10 years ago called the Skydio 2. DJI has basically owned this entire market for over a decade because no one's really trying to compete with them. And now there's someone who is. And again, like, their drone right now is not, in my opinion, is not suitable for like the fancy shots, the really nice looking stuff like you would want in a movie. It's not suited for, wow, I did a bad job on this quick color grade. I mean, I only moved 3 sliders, so I don't feel bad about it, but there is just so much difference and distance between the quality of the footage that's coming out of the two of them. But the mere fact that you can use a 360 camera on a drone, that's game changing. Like, the mere fact that you can do as much with it as you can is insane. So yeah, I'm digging this. I'm really impressed with what Anti-Gravity has done. Like I said, I really look forward to what they'll do. I don't think they're really going to solve it all in just one. I'm setting up for one of my fancier shots, I think. I say fancy shot, all it is usually just some panning around stuff, but am I setting up for one? Maybe not. I guess not. Normally I would have put it in a better position by now. But yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff happening with it, and I'm looking forward to it, but I don't feel like the A1 is quite there yet. But it's close. I see potential, and that's what I kind of dig about it. It's funny because I know enough about where I go in these locations. I immediately knew where I was sitting. Anyway. So, yeah. I don't know. Again, anybody have any questions they want to ask about this or bring up or anything like that? Also, just look at this distance. Like, I'm obviously really high up above the water at this point, and you can still see a lot of detail. And again, like, this is a low, or not low resolution. This is a small cut of the window, and like, just flying over it like this, zoomed in, you can still see a lot of detail in this. And a drone like this, like, you can do real estate shots with this easily. 100% you can do real estate shots with this. Don't screw up the color grade as much as I just did, but you know, you can get a good looking cut of a house, like panning over or around a house with this, and it's gonna look fantastic. I know, because like half of my review videos were basically me flying around houses, getting like good shots of them, trying to get good angles, and some of them make a lot of real estate videographers look really bad. I got some great shots of a few places. But yeah, the thing is, I don't feel like I could do that with the Anti-Gravity Air 1 yet. And I don't think that day is ever going to come with the A1. But it is promising. It is an exciting drone in that sense, and that's what I'm really digging about it. Okay. Well, on that note, since there's no questions popping up and my voice is definitely hitting its limits, I think that's probably a good time to close it up. So, why am I getting so many warnings about bitrate? YouTube, figure it out. Okay, anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, I will have, like I said, I will have a review up for this video, a review up for this drone somewhere in, I was aiming for I was aiming for not a review, but let's call it more of a first impressions. I was aiming to have that up either today or tomorrow. It's not going to happen today, so probably going to be tomorrow. I'm going to have a post up on the site about it as well that kind of discusses it from another angle. And then somewhere, not for the next week because we have rain for like every day for the next week, but probably about 2 weeks from now, I'm going to put up a full review with a lot of other insights on it, more video. I'm going to take it out and fly it a lot more. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan. And if anyone is interested in buying one, please wait just a little bit, and I will have a affiliate link pointing to their site where you can get it. And if you buy through that link, I get a cut of that, and that would let's see, if anyone is daring enough to buy the $2,000 version of it, then I would get, in theory, $40. Which, hey, I will take that. So game streams this weekend. Yes, I will be streaming this weekend. As a matter of fact, it is competitive drives week at Overwatch, so I will definitely be playing a lot of competitive matches so I can try to make my crawl through the competitive drives thresholds. Get those sweet rewards. Let's see. So yeah, that's gonna be this weekend. Obviously there will be a ramble next week. At least I can't think of any reason there won't be. So yeah, I think that covers the lineup of plans. Also, since there's going to be rain all of next week, I will be working on posting a couple of other reviews. You're still waiting for me to stream at 3440 by 1440 at 60 frames per second. I don't know that I have. Well, I'm sure my bandwidth could handle it. I can watch 4K video. My bandwidth would definitely be able to handle it, but still. Yeah, I don't know that that's going to happen. We'll see. Someday. Actually, no, I think my upload bandwidth probably can't do that because I don't have symmetric. I don't remember what my upload bandwidth is, but it's definitely lower than my download. So yeah, I think it would be unlikely. Also, I don't know what the situation is with YouTube and streaming at unconventional aspect ratios. I haven't looked into it, but okay, asking me about Stadia. First off, I only kind of remember, and the answer to that is not. Hey, Austin, he is showing up at the very tail end of this one. Let me finish what I'm saying, then I'll tell you what I just did. Okay, so I only had Stadia Pro for a relatively short time. Or wait, no. Sorry, no, that's wrong. I had Stadia Pro for actually quite a while. I forget why. Because I only had it initially because of the Founders Kit. But for some reason I kept having it, even though I wasn't paying for it. Maybe they just gave us... Did they give us Stadia Pro for a really long time for some reason? I don't know. Anyway, so here's the thing. You could choose between either higher frame rates, or you could go with the higher resolution. I could be mistaken, but I thought I was picking the higher frame rates. But it's possible... now I'm thinking about it, though. It's possible that maybe I was looking at the monitor that I was using and saying it wasn't capable of the frame rate, so maybe I went with a higher resolution. But it might have actually been the other way around. Maybe it wasn't capable of higher resolution, so I went with a higher frame rate. Whatever the case was, I don't remember now, but... Stadia was always 60 frames per second. What was the trade-off then? There was definitely a trade-off where you could go to lower resolution and you got something. I'm pretty sure it was frame rates. Anyway, so whatever the case was, I know I can watch 4K video, but again, I don't have a symmetric connection, so it's not even up and down. Let's see, just to sort of, not that this requires proving, but I can show you my residential internet. Okay. Oh, maybe it is symmetric now. Why did I think it was lower? Okay, if I remember correctly... Actually, yeah, I know it. So I have 250 megabits up and down. Which isn't great. It's enough, but it is, you know, it's not exactly breaking any speed barriers or anything. And it would cost $20 a month, or $20 more a month to go to 1 gig up and down. And 250 is passable. I mean, it's definitely enough for 4K footage. It's not much over that, but it's enough for 4K footage, you know. I think 4K at 60 frames per second would be unrealistic. So Stadia 4K at 60, yeah, that I'm pretty sure isn't happening. Let's see. But yeah, I also don't have a 4K screen. So that part would have been pretty unrealistic. So I guess the MacBook counts, kind of. Okay, anyway. Probably need 100 megabits per second at most to stream that. Yeah. I mean, most likely. I'd have to do a little bit of math and check it, but yeah, that probably is correct. Um, yeah, latency obviously factors in. Though because one of the Stadia uh, data centers was in Oregon. I don't know that I ever actually pinged it. I thought I did, but one of the Stadia data centers was in Oregon, and so my latency was super low. I actually had really great latency. That was I by all accounts, I was one of the unicorn users of Stadia that just had like the greatest possible situation where it was only like seven hops, I think, from me to the data center. So yeah, I had this just killer low latency to work with. So yeah, Stadia was always good for me. I miss Stadia. Don't get me wrong. It was pretty nice. Let's see. 314. You have 2 gig down, 50 up. Wow, really? Just 50 up? That's surprising. I think it would have been higher. And yeah, well, getting anything else on time is always questionable. Any time frame they give you, just assume it's going to be a month later, or worse. But yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd like faster internet, but there are so many other places to spend that money first. It's not worth $240 extra a year just to go to slightly faster, or not slightly. It'd be a lot faster, but I don't need the extra bandwidth that much. 250 is passable. I mean, it's actually good by current standards. There's a lot of places that have way worse internet than me, including Corbin. So I'm not really complaining. FiOS 300 up and down in New York City. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like 250 or 300, that's perfectly usable. That's it gets the job done. Obviously, could it be better? Sure, but yeah, I'm not complaining about that. That, to me, that is like the lowest order thing to complain about. Let's see. You use yeah. I mean, everyone should use their own equipment. Using whatever the ISP provides is almost always a mistake. Not only that, but as long as you have reason to either assume that the ISP, if you expect that you're going to stick with them, or or you know that they're good, which hopefully that means you're going to stick with them, just buy the equipment. Like, if they have a modem you have to use, just buy it. Never rent. The renting from the ISP, it takes usually a year, and you've paid in rental fee what that device is worth. It usually doesn't even take a year. People who rent that stuff are insane. They're just throwing away money. And then they have to deal with returning it, which is even worse. Verizon aggravates you. Verizon aggravates everybody. No one's happy on Verizon. Verizon, don't sue me. I'm obviously making jokes to make light of public perception or something. Just don't sue me. Have to say it like that. let's see. Anyway. Okay, I'm not going to ask for details on that. I'll take your word for it. But anyway, let's see. So like I said, I think my voice doesn't have a whole lot of energy left in it, so I'm going to count this as a good time to wrap. So as always, if you enjoyed what you saw and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, huge thanks to supporters of the channel: Carson, Austin, David, Diablo, and Alyssa. Oh, Austin, there you are. Quick note: if you had any interest in checking out or hearing about the anti-gravity A1, the 360 drone that just was announced earlier today, I have one and I have been working with it, and I just spent like the last hour and something talking about it. So if you're at all curious, rewind and check that out. Let's see. I will do a timestamp later. I mean, I can do one later, but I'll do one actually later. Once I can clip off the opening of the video, because I've been trying to make a point of doing that. So yeah. And you figured I had it? Yeah. That had to be my... Well, I talked about it in Discord, so yeah, I said that was what I was going to be covering. Anyway, so let's see. What else? Oh, yeah, like I said, obviously to support the channel, links down below, blah, blah, blah. You guys got that. Of course, again, thanks to supporters of the channel. Also, if anyone's going to be doing any shopping on Amazon, you know the deal. Hit my website. I've got some links to a few products. If you click through one of those links and add something to the cart, even if it's not one of those products, I get a cut of that sale. And many thanks to everyone who's been doing that, because I mean, it's not like it's huge money. I'm not about to go buy my McMansion down in LA, but you know, there's a few bucks that one day will turn into paying for lunch. Anyway, let's see. What is my brain is trying to come to another thing. Anyway, yeah, I will be again streaming this week, or game streaming this weekend, and back for another RambleCast next week. There are video reviews coming. I've already mentioned all of that stuff, I know. But yeah, so that about wraps it up. I hope everyone had a good time, and I will catch you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.